to order for a budget workshop. If everyone could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. We only have 2 items on the agenda today, and they're both budget-based. The first is a discussion and possible vote on establishing a process to request budgetary documents by school committee members. I know this has Mr. Haskins' name on it. I did request that this be put on the agenda so that we can all understand and have transparency around any requests coming in for documentation. While anything that is public is available to any one of us, because we are in this process together, I felt that it was important that we find a way that if there is a request that is related to the budget, that somehow, Mr. Haskins, you and the Mr. Andrade, you find a way to ensure that the entire committee is aware of these requests and that we all receive copies in advance, if possible, of the requested documents. Okay? That was it. Do we need to take a vote on this, or is that just easy enough for consensus? All right, sounds good. Next, we have to discuss the FY 26-27 proposed school budget, and I will first hand it off to Mr. Haskins to open things up.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the school committee, members of the public. I want to first, thank Director Andrade. I know my name is on this presentation. Director Andrade and his staff did the majority of the work related to these figures. I also want to thank our principals and directors who spent time with teachers, department heads, putting together their budget request. Up to this point, it has been an iterative process coming to Director Andrade and myself with the budget requests, identifying priorities, and trying to make decisions about what would be included in this budget proposal. As you know, this budget is based on last year's budget, in which the Tiverton School District experienced significant staffing reductions that were necessary cuts in order to present a balanced budget. This budget being presented to you today is pretty much leveled staffing. Decisions that were made last year to reduce staff continue into this proposed budget for FY27. That being said, there are a number of needs of the Tiverton School District that are not represented in this budget, and I'd like to detail those for you. This budget does not represent a reading specialist at the high school. There has not been a reading specialist at the high school, and this budget does not recommend a reading specialist at the high school because it is not affordable at this time. Last year, a library media specialist at the middle school and high school was reduced. This budget does not represent a library media specialist for the middle school and the high school. A few years ago, maybe it was last year, a data manager was reduced, and there is no HR, human resources specialist in the Tiverton School District. The part-time kindergarten teacher assistants half of them were eliminated for FY26. They are not included in this presentation. The athletic director was reduced from a full-time to a 0.6 with a 0.4 teaching responsibility. That continues in this budget presentation. And then what has been demonstrated as needed additional teacher support for mathematics at the high school, that is not represented in this budget. However, the teachers and teacher assistants currently employed by the Tiverton School District who are working hard in their classrooms every day are making it work. And although we would like to return some of these crucial positions to the Tiverton School District, we know that our existing staff will continue to perform their best and help students achieve to their greatest ability. That being said, there are some additional documents that were requested by a member of the school committee. They're presented to you this morning. We have for you the pre-kindergarten enrollment. As you know, we have 2 pre-kindergarten classrooms housed at the Bacasset Elementary School. The Tiverton Middle School courses and number of students who are scheduled in those courses. You'll see those represented in the column labeled requests scheduled. And then the Tiverton High School course schedule, you'll see in the 3rd column with a star above it, those are the number of students enrolled in each of those courses at Tiverton High School. Additional request for all Tiverton School District employees and their salaries are provided to you in the binder presented to you. And I think that was the totality of requests that were made for this school meeting in addition to our budget. Are there any questions before we turn it over to Director Andrade and we can go line by line through the budget proposal?
Just high level, and I apologize because I've been sick, so I have not dug into this. Enrollment, total enrollment, is that in here? Are we getting to that?
It's not in here because of,
The total enrollment is not included in this budget packet. We certainly can present that to you. I can look it up right now. It was presented at the January school committee meeting, and I'll pull up those figures now.
Yeah, please. Because that kind of, for me, that's where I'm starting. I'm like, all right, well, what's our enrollment look like year to year? That's sort of my starting point for the budget.
yeah, I didn't include it based on it's in the
That we
monthly
had it
packet,
before.
but he'll pull it up.
I just don't remember. I think,
So, Mr. Haskins, perhaps a takeaway for our next session is to include some enrollment statistics.
yes, please, Diane, that's a great idea. Thank you. This is current. So current and projected is like total is what I'm looking for. And we could get going and you can come back to that.
So, Mr. Andrade, if you don't mind, if you could get started?
Thank you. Thank you for being here today and for the residents that
Kim.
showed up on this cold Saturday, and we'll get right into it. So this is a preliminary budget proposal. It's draft discussion purposes only. As you'll see, we have quite a few openings as far as assumptions because it is still very early in the process. So with that, you can see the table of contents. We'll get into quite a few items in this presentation. So bear with me if I'm talking too fast or you want to stop me on that slide, please do. It's easier to answer questions on the slide than go back, but whatever you prefer, we can go back later as well. All the slides are numbered, so if you can refer to the number that's very low in the right-hand corner. Thank you to Diane for pointing that out. So we can refer to that, and just bear with me because I'm doing double duty here. All right, so, see, I'm already on the 3rd slide and not over there. So first slide is the balanced budget proposal, maintaining services in a fiscal responsible way. What this budget does, it funds existing contractual and legally mandated costs only. Limits expenditures to known unavoidable costs with no budgetary cushion. What this budget does not do, as Superintendent Haskins says, it does not add any programs or staffing. It does not expand educational or student support services. Why this matters: underfunding special education, transportation, maintenance, or insurance does not save money. It increases long-term costs. Deferred funding leads to higher out-of-district placements, emergency repairs, and unplanned tax impacts. Stable funding prevents liability and future corrective spending. This proposal represents the lowest responsible cost to operate the school system in compliance with the law. Today, we are not asking for the maximum allocation. We are not proposing layoffs. We are not asking the council to observe a large increase on taxpayers, and we are not expanding CTE yet. This is not a holding pattern, it is a runaway. Staff stability continues instruction, morale preservation retention causes retention savings, and avoiding layoffs avoids future rehiring and retraining costs. Stability is how you protect your product, school, investment before you grow it. This year's budget allows us to stabilize our workforce so we can spend time building on CT expansion successfully with industry partners, enrollment, facilities planning, and readiness to succeed. We didn't want to come with you today with a big idea until we can prove we can manage the basics responsibilities, which essentially is maintaining staff. Statistically, when staff sees stability, they continue focusing on the students. That shows up in conversations, in student retention, and in families choosing to stay. Again, we are not asking to fund the future tonight, just to help us build it correctly. Going to the next slide is the FY27 preliminary appropriation request. So as you can see above, our primary goals with this budget are straightforward. Again, is to maintain quality education and essential student supports, comply with all mandates, remain fiscally responsible, and sustain within available resources. So FY26 projected is our current fiscal year, and as you can see, through town appropriations, we had $29.2 million in town appropriations through the taxes, along with state aid formula through the state at almost $6 million, and we're operating with a $35.2 million local revenue total from local taxes. Other revenue that we are operating within this current fiscal year, FY26, is CT tuition. These are out-of-district students attending Tiverton. Gaming revenue, the council was, again, gracious enough to provide some help and support of operating expenditures through the general fund for $312,605, and we utilize a short portion of Medicaid in FY26 that was incoming in the amount of $65,000. That total is $465,605, giving us a grand total operating revenue in FY26 projected at $35.7 million rounded number. The request in FY27 is an increase in local town appropriation of 3.6% or $30,292,897. State aid declined slightly by $2,000, so that number is $5,975,411. That total budget is $36.3 million for local operating through taxes, which gives us a change of a little over $1 million or 2.98% on the tax levy. Tuition for CT in FY27 request is $49,500. And I'll get into these numbers a little more in a second. I just want to read them off for now. Gaming revenue through capital, the request is $168,500, and incoming Medicaid in FY27 request is $150,000. So in total, that's a request of $368,000, or a change of a little less than $100,000 year over year. The grand total request in FY27 is $36,636,308, a change of $952,784, or 2.67%. Now getting into the request is revenue growth remains limited, as we know, while special ed and other fixed costs, particularly employee benefits, continue to increase. The pressure on the local appropriation, this puts pressure on the local appropriation. The budget includes other revenue assumptions tied to existing services, not new spending. So the request for CT tuition revenue of $49,500 reflects income and tuition aligned with current enrollment. These are students that have been attending Tiverton for a few years. There's no incoming freshmen in this total at the high school level, and again, they reside outside of Tiverton. Gaming revenue capital. The request of $168,500 in gaming revenue is an allocation of $130,000 to support 2 RIDE-mandated 6-year curriculum programs. One being U.S. history at the middle school level under the direction of Ms. Christine Costa, and science at the high school level under the direction of Department Head Lee Cusimano, with the remaining funds supporting 30% of the budgeted costs for student and educator Chromebooks. So again, $168,500, $130,000 of that is to support 2 ride-mandated 6-year curricular programs, and the remaining is to support a small portion of the Chromebooks in our operating budget. Please note that we are offsetting another ride-mandated 6-year program, which is U.S. Civics at the Tiverton Middle School curriculum program. This was funded with Title IV Part A Federal Entitlement Program that offers student support and academic enrichment for 3 allowable areas: well-rounded education, which is curriculum-related, self and healthy students, and effective use of technology at a cost of $19,000. So these ride mandates almost make up $150,000, but we're utilizing $20,000 this current fiscal year, and then we are asking for support for the future years with these ride mandates that, again, are a one-time cost that covers a 6-year program at both levels, middle school and high school. The Medicaid reimbursement of $150,000. This is a jump from last year's request of $85,000. However, it is to budget conservatively, consistent with historical reimbursement trends and the risk of federal reductions. Medicaid reimbursements are a key stabilizing factor. It is important to be clear about how these are used with special education costs. These funds do not create new programs or position. They strictly reimburse costs for mandated services already being provided and already in the operating budget. This approach offsets special education costs, reduces pressure on local appropriation, and maintains transparency and fiscal discipline, and avoids creating a one-time funding structural deficit. In addition, I do foresee a small operating surplus this current FY26 fiscal year, without any unknown costs in the future, and a FY26 Medicaid surplus of around $350,000. We currently have a surplus in Medicaid after the $65,000 is utilized in FY26 projection of $227,000 as of Thursday, January 29th, 2026. So the total budget request increase is $952,784 year over year, with a little over $1 million from local and state revenue, and a change of less than $97,605 from other revenue, resulting in a 2.98% change in local and a 2.67% increase for all revenue. We do have an opportunity for additional revenue proposal with the inclusion of the annual City of Fall River tuition reimbursement, pending Town Council determination that this revenue is attributable to educational services provided to students in the Salty Pond area of Fall River, resulting from an override by the council from a ride hearing that occurred around the year 2010. This opportunity would result in a year-over-year change offset of $1,005,389,000, or 2.85% request in the total school appropriation. So again, we receive around $45,000 each year from agreement with City of Fall River. So obviously, if that revenue was shifted to the schools, that would decrease that total local revenue from 2.98% to 2.85%. Again, reducing the total town operation proposal for education and the tax levy. I intentionally did not request the full 4% maximum allowable per the state law, and I will provide additional context during my closing decision points. This is essentially a zero-based budget reflecting level services, and there is no artificial growth built in. My next statement, Superintendent Haskins already touched base on key positions that we've lost over the prior 2 fiscal years that are key to budget growth and school support. So I will continue on to.
Can we stop on this
Oh,
page?
yep, absolutely. Yep. I'm still on this page. I was going to
Okay.
go to my next point, but I'll stop at that point, yeah.
Go ahead, maybe someone else will ask.
Are you finished?
I am not.
Okay, so what I'd like to do is allow you to complete your presentation, and then I will open up the floor
Okay.
to all the members for questions. If that's okay?
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, sorry, I had a lot on this page, because it is a lot. But, so I just want to give you some more context as far as it, taxpayer impact and then closing points. So, the 3.6% local town appropriation request aligns closely with the 5-year post-COVID average of 3.47%. So that is the last 5 years that the local town appropriation was granted to the schools, whether it was the old system or the current system with the town council appropriation. The 2.98% local tax requests is in the normal range of historical averages, reflecting the impact of prior years with minimal or negative growth, including a negative 0.6 decrease in FY '25 due to a 1.1 million state aid reduction and a modest increase in FY '21 and '22. But again, it remains below last year's 3.09% school appropriation. It is grounded in current operational needs rather than optimism. This funding level allows us to determine whether layoffs are necessary rather than cutting. This proposal, again, provides stability, transparency, and student impacts. We could request 4% town appropriation, but history tells us it won't pass. A 3.6% request is fiscally responsible, evidence-based, and far more likely to be approved intact. The 3.6% request reflects that balance, in line with historical norms, transparent about the remaining risks, and grounded in fiscal reality. In the end, this committee must determine whether to pursue a funding level most likely to be fully funded and provides budget stability for students and staff, or a higher request that reflects identified needs, such as CT expansion and staffing, but introduces greater uncertainty and potential disruption if reduced. And I will pause there for any questions, please.
So I will open up the floor to questions one at a time from school committee members. Mrs. Polish, you've indicated you have questions, so I'll shoot it to you first.
So, and again, I apologize if it's already in here somewhere. So the town appropriation FY '26? What was do we know the increase for
Yep.
town and, okay.
It was 3.09%.
And then state
We're-
aid?
That was all together, sorry. So
Oh,
it was
that's fine.
It was, local taxes were 3.5%, and
Okay.
state aid was, maybe
Uh,
1%. It was up 60,000, so. And it totaled, the total
3.9.
3.09 on, the tax sheet for school appropriation.
So state aid was essentially flat?
Yeah, I
last
apologize,
year.
my computer just
That's fine.
tagged out here.
So the CTE tuition, you're saying going down to 49.5?
Yeah, that is, oh,
Is
go ahead.
is the 88K in the FY '26 budget?
It is, yes.
So are we anticipating for FY '26 that we're going to be short on projected revenue then?
No, so that has to do with, students that are graduating.
Okay, perfect.
So I'm only doing current
Yep.
enrollment, grade 10 through 12 next
Yep.
year.
So you know some are graduating, so you're cutting that, not
Yes.
knowing who's going to sign up and
Yeah,
come in.
in my budget, it's mostly juniors and seniors, so I
Okay.
expect them to maintain in Tiverton based after 2 years.
So the gaming revenue, I got the 130K and the 38.5 for Chromebooks. So there's a grant for this US Civics that's in place now or in place in FY '27?
FY '26, it has to do with Title IV entitlement, federal program grants.
So is that included?
Nope, so this is separate. So that the FY '27 request is for US history and science.
Yeah.
The one being covered this year is for US civics.
So we're not going to have that US Civics in FY '27?
No, because we're going to cover it this year. It's a one-time cost, and it's a one-time cost that covers the 6 year program.
Oh,
Excuse me.
gotcha. So
Yeah.
it's covering it, but we're going to be able to have it for 6 years based upon
Correct,
this year.
correct. It will actually start next year, but we're covering in
Yep,
FY
nope,
'26.
that's fine.
Because some of that 2019 and change has to do with professional development that's part of that $19,000 one-time cost.
And then, what's the projected surplus for FY '26 fund balance?
Very low on the operating side and $227,000
On Medicaid,
from Medicaid only.
and then,
Fund balance zero.
so basically flat or
Yeah,
zero?
fund balance was, everything we had available was used in FY '25.
So FY '26, we're projecting no fund balance, but we are projecting a 227, and of that 227, you're recommending that we use 150, essentially.
Essentially, but I would more label it as incoming for next year and leaving that in the pot.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah.
Those are mine for now.
Thank you. Who would like to go next? Jocelyn?
The 45,000 from Fall River, I apologize, because I know you answered this question last time it came up. How many students does that represent?
We're up to about 7 or 8.
Seven, okay.
And we actually have one come in almost every year, so
Okay. Does that number match the per pupil rate?
it does not.
And why is that?
The way the agreement was settled with, the prior agreement, prior administration, the way the agreement was settled on a 3-year basis, this is our last year, so it needs to be redone, was they settled on a cost that would help Tiverton with enrollment and give us a revenue boost. Again, that revenue goes directly to town council, not the schools right now.
Right.
And it was a little less than what it would cost Fall River to transport those students to Fall River schools.
Okay.
So again, that's the best I can give you. I wasn't part of those conversations, but
Yep.
that's my understanding.
Okay. And what year did that start?
I don't know how long it's been going on, but the
Okay.
agreement I have in my office is from the last couple of years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So definitely a few years this has been in
Yeah.
play.
Yeah. I assume it's
Long
been,
time.
Seriously,
I
I'm
was-
not kidding.
I was gonna say.
More than 30 years.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I know of the court proceeding in 2010, so it's at least
The
before
structure
that,
of it may
yeah.
have changed a little bit. but
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, so
It
these,
has been.
they would know more than me on that.
Okay. And so we have potential to renegotiate that rate or no?
Yeah, every
Okay.
year.
Every year, okay.
Superintendent Haskins would renegotiate that rate with the superintendent of 4 of his schools,
Okay.
if that's the direction that we want to proceed with.
And historically, as long as this has been going on, the funds have gone to town council?
It goes right to the town council, the school
Okay.
takes the check and transfers it.
Okay.
Yep, and the town doesn't budget for it because they obviously don't have the knowledge of it. They know money's coming in, they just,
Yeah.
so it's good, but
Okay.
it's extra revenue to the town, but yeah.
Okay.
So I'm just trying to reverse that cost possibly.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And my other question, and I'm likely getting way ahead, or perhaps it's already in here, is some of the things that are missing from this budget. And again, this is probably a future question. Any of those things missing from the high school, will that impact our NEASC accreditation?
Yes.
That's still unclear. I did a little research yesterday. It does not appear that it would impact our NEASC accreditation, but it does appear it would impact the BEP, Basic Education Program for Rhode Island. There was legislation that for the 2026-27 school year, all high schools would need a library media specialist. And then eventually, I think it's in 2030, all schools would require a library media specialist. So I'll need to look into that legislation a little bit more. But in terms of the NEASC accreditation, I'm getting mixed messages on that. My survey online, or I should say my online research, did not indicate that we would lose our NEASC accreditation, but my conversation with others indicates it might impact our NEASC accreditation.
So
Thank you.
Superintendent Haskins, that legislation that came for the FY '27, that did not come with revenue?
No, that would be another unfunded mandate.
Okay, thank you.
Mrs. Sharon, do you have any additional questions?
No, thank you both.
Anyone want to go next?
No.
Kim?
No, I'm all set. I think it's been explained pretty good between Deb's questions and,
Thank you.
yeah.
Okay, so
And
I
Jocelyn's.
do have a couple of questions of my own. Brandon, you mentioned and I just want to have clarity on this, that the impact on the tax levy is the net, you've said it a couple of times, between the appropriation and state aid.
Correct.
That's accurate?
If you look at the FY '26 tax budget document, it shows 3.09%, and we got 3.5% through town appropriation
Okay,
last year.
I just want to clarify that.
Yep.
Also, with respect to the gaming revenue request, I have heard from at least one counselor that that may not be approved this year. And it has always been, I mean, certainly I can make the argument for asking for help on the curriculums, because they are quote-unquote long-term commitments. But the Chromebook piece of that in particular, and while this is an improvement, because we buy a lot more than 38,000 worth of Chromebooks every year, is that correct?
We do. The budget is
Yeah, I thought it was north of
125,000 with
100,000.
student and educators.
Yep. While this is an improvement over what we've been able to do the last few years, it's not completely gone from this request. And I think, I'm just trying to point it out, that we may very well not receive that funding. That is not a certainty by any stretch, and that we might be forced to cut other things from our budget because these are mandatory costs. So that's just something for all of us to bear in mind as we go through our discussions here. And then also, with respect to the state aid formula, while it's true we are seeing a relatively negligible change this year, there are 3 components to that change, and they swing rather widely. One is the impact of continuing decreased enrollment, the impact of rising property values, and in this year's case, the positive impact of high-cost special ed reimbursements. I do think we need to be completely transparent in understanding that those 3 components have a major impact on what that final number is, and that we cannot count. What I do see is that we are losing state aid again this year, that this high-cost special ed reimbursement should be a separate discussion, even though it is part of the aid. Because that is, if I'm not mistaken, reimbursements from previous years.
Correct.
So it's really not an indication of the number of students receiving any kind of services today. So I just want to make sure that we're all aware of that, and that indeed we are continuing to lose enrollment and lose state aid. Okay. That is all I had for now. I'll throw it out there one more time before we move on.
Would it be worthwhile to have a separate, or have you already, a discussion about how that state aid was?
Yeah, we did, and I provided a nice summary to, I don't know if you were here, that's why
I could have been.
I put together a state education aid summary for the school committee.
And it's in,
It was in a prior school committee
That's fine.
packet
I'll go back
agenda.
and look.
But if you guys want to go through that at another meeting, that's up
or
to you.
I'm thinking like those kind of things, like enrollment, that kind of thing, that would be nice to have
And
all
I'd
in one
actually
place, so that we're
ask-
not constantly having to go back and go, oh, I gave that to you a month ago.
Yeah, that's why we're kind of doing this binder, so I
Yeah.
can have this be added in the future
Yeah,
to the
that would be
binder.
great.
I
I
have it in
think
my
if-
binder, but not your binder.
Yeah, I
but-
think if we could add that to the
Yep.
binder and then the enrollment info to the binder, that would be very helpful.
No, that student education age summary that we put together, one agenda item, I think it was a few meetings ago.
Could I also ask that, because I know we don't
During the budget
traditionally get
workshop.
this, if we could do an analysis of the changes in state aid that have taken place, let's say, either in the last 5 or 10 years, so that we understand what the trends are?
Yep, I already have that on a
Maybe
document.
We do?
so-
Yeah, so maybe
Yeah.
as part of another meeting, we can take a
Yep.
look at that?
Yeah, I have a 10-year
Good.
history, so.
Good. All right.
Yeah, because the goal would be have everything here,
Yeah.
whether we got it before or not, in one place.
Absolutely.
And then have that be all in one place for our council members and our budget committee members.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah,
kind
it was
of-
during, I just remembered, it was during the budget workshop meeting, the school committee met
Perfect.
after it, so we have, it's already done, but.
And even if, just punch it with a little thing, and we
Absolutely.
can just stick it right in here.
Easy enough.
Yeah. Same with the enrollment, like
Yeah, and
change
I-
FY '26 to
I
'27.
do have a future slide on, a little bit discussing
Perfect.
funding formula, but
Perfect,
not
okay.
to that detail.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions on this particular summary? No? Okay, I'll ask you to continue then.
I just want to highlight, Diane, based on one of your questions, to be transparent, is the 3.09% in the certified budget document for FY '26. Our number is a little higher, because if you remember, we did get an extra $61,000 kick from the state last minute after our adoption. I think Rep. Edwards and other reps had adjusted funding formulas to the towns and schools, so we did get an extra 61,000. That is the 35.2, but in the budget doc, it would be 35.1, a little more than 35.1, which is a difference of 61,000 and change. So, just to
Thank you.
help you, yeah.
But the 29,240, that was the actual appropriation, so the extra aid would have come in the 5,977.
Correct, yep.
Yeah,
Yep,
okay.
Yep, so I just wanted the, case anyone goes look at the budget doc, that's the difference, so just want to point
And
that
then,
out.
before we move on quick, so this is the preliminary budget that RIDE is recommending. Any indication when this is going to be taken up by the state legislation, or no?
I think they're just starting now.
Okay, so,
It's the governor's recommended,
yep.
yep. So, I know, I watched the town council meeting on Thursday, Rep. Edwards was there, and I think they're just starting, they're like 2 weeks into it.
yeah,
so,
and I mean,
yeah.
it's only the end of
Yeah,
January, so that's.
Yep, and I'll go through some of those other assumptions during, in the budget, such as
Okay.
healthcare, I'm still waiting from the
Thanks.
trust, et cetera, et cetera.
Thanks.
No problem.
I understand, it's really early.
Yes, it's really early, but I'm happy overall with no cuts, hopefully, so that's big. So budget overview and strategic priorities moving forward before a couple slides, and we'll get into the budgetary line items. Again, total proposed budget is 36.6 million. Percentage expenditure change from FY '26 is the 2.6%. Excuse me, this maintains core instructional programs, required special ed, and student services. Delivers services at current staffing levels following prior year reductions. FY '27 budget was developed again using essentially a zero-based approach. This proposed budget continues to deliver Tiverton Public Schools' strategic commitment to student achievement, equity, and safe, supportive learning environments consistent with priorities established by this school committee and the Rhode Island Department of Education. The budget focuses first on core instruction services, ensuring that all students have access to high-quality curriculum, qualified educators, and appropriate academic and social emotional support learning. In alignment with accountability expectations, and the proposal prioritizes funding for special education services and students requiring targeted interventions, while meeting all state and federal mandates. This budget does not include new programs, staff, and expansion, or any variable type initiatives. Any increases reflected in the proposal are limited to contractual or legally required cost adjustments, including salary, benefits, and required services. This presentation continues to outline the ways in which the budget supports Tiverton's long-term educational goals, while remaining sensitive to the community's overall fiscal, financial capacity. So getting into the FY '27 budget assumptions, and I apologize for being so small. I'm working off Microsoft PowerPoint, where the Chromebook does Google PowerPoint sheets, so it's a little, yeah, because of Microsoft PowerPoint, but I do apologize on the screen. So as we discussed during my transportation my transportation presentation, excuse me, we are hopefully to eliminate one regular education transportation bus. This would be an in-district bus. That reduction would be a savings of $93,987,000. In-district CT tuition, as we already said, this budget assumes tuition for 3 students. Early indication is we may have more through Ms. Cusimano, but again, I'm only budgeting for what we know. Gaming revenue, I got into a little bit, but I will reiterate, this request is $168,500 in gaming revenue to support the 2 RIDE-mandated 6-year programs and employee Chromebooks and student Chromebooks. Medicaid revenue, again, we were requesting committee to recognize $150,000 in Medicaid reimbursements to offset revenue for mandated services. Town appropriation, assume a 3.6% increase in the town tax appropriation, which could be less with if state aid stays as it is, which I presented, and possibly for a tuition agreement circulating to the schools. Coastal exposure and response prevention, ERP health support. This is another key program we have here at the high school that somewhat goes to the middle school. It's just mostly the concerns are at the high school. And this has to do with eliminating a mental health counseling service coach, resulting in a $20,000 reduction in an operating expenditure. However, in this current fiscal year and the prior fiscal year, and I think the one before that, it's always been grant funded. This year, we did have to take up $20,000 in this budget, but in the prior years, it was fully grant funded. So that's the difference of the $30,000 costs, including $10,000 grant funded this current fiscal year. So that's your reduction of $20,000 year over year. Also, we're considering eliminating the afternoon supervision coverage here at the high school. That's a savings of $5,400. This would be, the next line item is a health benefit advisor HBA agreement. This is key. It implements a new agreement with the health benefits advisor vendor that focuses on health insurance costs, with premium savings. So this was something that was brought to my attention from the active business manager in Little Compton, who spent many years in North Providence and Lincoln prior to retirement, and now helping out Little Compton schools and towns, along with our attorney. I spoke to this individual. He has over 30 years experience between Blue Cross Blue Shield and the local interlocal trust here in Rhode Island. So this is something that could help future cost health insurance. I do apologize because I forgot to bring the presentation with me this evening, but we can talk about that at another meeting if you want to get into it, and I think we should. But it would help with premium savings, but it would come with an operating expenditure cost of $13,000 beginning. My thought is to begin it on September 2026 with the next school year. Benefit premiums, again, as I just spoke to Deb, this is estimated health, dental, and life insurance premium rates. It's early in the year to get health and dental, and our life insurance doesn't renew to November, so it's really early for life insurance, and that was a headache this school year, FY26, because it drastically went up, which we'll get into in the budget line item detail shortly. Special education related services, this is estimated rates because OT, PT, which is our therapist services, and contracted nursing services are in their final year of contract. So this budget shows final pricing contingency on the FY27 RFP outcome, which the bid opening would be next week, and then depending how long it takes for the team here, and obviously Sarah leading that team, to go through each submission of the bid and see where those rates come in for the next 3 years. As we all know, Council 94 contract was approved at a 1 year, so this budget does incorporate assumptions related to Council 94 contract negotiations for the future. Methodology, again, FY27 budget developed using an essential zero-base approach. All expenditures were reviewed and justified based on current necessity, including FY27 budget built on FY26 staffing model, which was reduced by 20 FTEs last year. this current school year. ODP tuition adjustment, this is key. In order to balance our budget, we did include a $99,926 reduction to, again, achieve a balanced budget. And we will get into a little later.
Do other people
Yep.
have the last four? It stops at special ed.
We're missing the
Same
last
here,
bullet points.
yeah.
We're missing the last four.
That's why
Yeah.
I'm flipping around here. Where is
Oh, I
it?
apologize. It's on my,
Yeah, ours ends at special education related services.
yeah, you don't yet, but you don't have this, but you will now coming next. I could have printed out 20 pages 25 times.
Council 94,
This is just budget, so I'm just listing right now.
Mr. Andrade?
Yeah.
anything under special ed related services, we want.
I apologize, yeah. I don't know what happened. Yeah, I didn't build the binder, so I apologize, but that's on me because I printed right from my presentation, so. So I will, you probably can't read this, so if you want me to go back through it?
Yeah, just.
Yeah, the council night, yep. So after special education, it's Council 94. As you guys know, we have a one-year contract ending June of this year. So it does incorporate assumptions related to Council 94 contract negotiations. The next is something I already mentioned, the methodology of this approach was a zero-based approach that was reviewing all expenditures and justifying it on current needs, using a staffing model which was reduced by 20 FTEs this current school year. And last is a key point is ODP, out-of-district placement, special education, tuition adjustment. This includes a $100,000 reduction to achieve a balanced budget.
So before we move any further,
Yes.
unless you weren't
Nope,
finished.
that's it.
Okay, so I will once
Thank you.
again open it up for questions. I know I have a few. We'll do it a little different this time. Jocelyn, you want to try first?
Sure. The coastal exposure and response prevention health support, does that cut a full position?
So that is an outside vendor. It's
Okay.
Miss Kelsey Vasconcelos, who actually just left us recently, but
Okay.
the vendor itself would be bringing someone else on. She's working 1 to 2 days a week as we find a replacement. So that essentially is not cutting an actual staff member, but
Okay.
is cutting a key outside mental health counselor.
So beyond this year, we wouldn't have that service at all?
Correct, because currently this has always been funded within the operating budget, and the
Yeah.
idea is trying to maintain our current staff levels. And this would increase our budget by essentially $30,000, because it's always been grant funded. That grant has now gone away. It was a Ride to Learn 365 grant a few years ago. So
That's
we
pretty
use-
concerning, because isn't that position responsible for, like, helping kids with the diversion program and substance abuse?
That's correct.
Yeah.
We would be looking to fund this through other grants.
Okay.
There may be some resources at the state level. I know there's the statewide opioid settlement. There may be some resources we would try to find there, and then through private or other public grants.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted Superintendent to touch base on that, because, but again, this is a draft, and as we know, a tight budget. But
Sure.
I agree, it's
Yeah.
essential.
I know when she presented last year, I mean, she was
Yeah.
seeing a
Oh,
high volume of
absolutely.
students.
Yeah, I learned same as you did
Yeah.
that day, so, yep.
The high school PM supervision, what is that for?
So that started a few years ago, and what it was is a teacher that was being paid hourly through the CBA contract of NEA, and essentially, it's for the students that are staying a little extra after school in the atrium here, near the cafeteria auditorium atrium,
Oh.
and waiting for their ride. This wouldn't be bus-related, obviously. The late bus would come later, but
Yeah.
this wouldn't, it would just be students hanging out. Essentially, this started, I think it was, I heard 2 years ago, a little before my time. Started because there was some concern with coaches. You know, we have some coaches that are coming from their jobs. So
Yeah.
they're showing up 5-10 minutes before practice. So
Yeah.
these students are hanging out for an hour.
Yep.
And just for, safety reasons. Now what we're seeing is that student count in the atrium is less and less. Recently, we noticed maybe 2, 3, 4 students.
Okay.
And those 2, 3, 4 students are sitting together as friends, so
Yeah.
nothing concerning. And again, something else that's a small savings, but
Yeah,
a savings in a tough cycle.
yeah, no, everything needs to be looked at.
Yeah.
Last school committee meeting, I asked about if we had enough of a need to hire our own OT/PT, but it looks here like that we're still going to continue and do a contracted service. I thought we would post a position internally.
So we would still post a position. The
Okay.
way we would label the contract is we have to do this so we're prepared, because we don't know if we'll get the position, as Sarah said.
Yeah.
So right now, this is the company we've been using since Newport Regional days, and when Newport Regional resolved, we also continue on that contract. It's
Yeah.
every 3 years, but, so that contract's up. Some of those key, we'll call them jobs, within that contract are key nursing services positions, especially at the transition program.
Yep.
So again, we might be able to hire a therapist that does speech or OT, but doesn't mean we'll have a PT or a contracted nurse service.
Yeah.
So we have to still go out there.
Yep.
And I have to be diligent enough to make sure that it stays in the contract, that if we do hire someone, we are able to reduce that service at a certain point, 2 weeks, a month, whatever the case may be.
Oh, so
Yeah,
that language
yeah.
would be included in that contract. Okay.
It's typical, but,
Yep.
yeah.
Okay.
We have the same language in with looking upwards. I think it's 30 or 60 days, but same idea.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
no problem.
That's
Good
it
question.
for me. Thanks.
Do we have any volunteers for next? Deb?
In-district CTE, early indication is we may have more. When do we know? Do we have kind of a deadline where they have to let us know, or can they sign up anytime?
I'll start, and if Superintendent, if you have anything to add, I'm just gonna go off based on our students going
That's fine,
outside.
yep.
So usually the middle school notifies me, say someone from Tiverton goes to Portsmouth, they usually notify me in April or May. So it all depends. So you have to apply first at the school.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to be accepted. Then similar, you have to go to your in-school district and get a request from
So
the
that's gonna be
superintendent.
late.
Correct, it's always late,
Okay.
yes, yes. Yeah, sometimes you hear about it in June, and that's why
That's-
there's some budget
okay.
disruption.
Okay. The HVA agreement, this is an increased expenditure of 13,250?
Yeah, this would be an increase, but.
So I would like to see this on a future agenda, because I
Yes.
want to see, we're spending 13,250, but where the savings going to be?
Where the
where's
ROI is, yeah. And that's
exactly.
why we should do that. And
But yeah, that can be a
yeah,
future, but
yeah.
where we're spending money, I want to see on the other end
Correct.
whether it's savings money or
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
better for our employees, just, I want to see the benefit side.
Yeah,
But
that's
that
why-
we can do that in a
Yeah, I
future
said in
meeting.
the future, because I do already have a presentation on it. For
Perfect.
multiple reasons. One
That's
is,
perfect.
you guys have to approve the agreement first off, and then approve where the ROI is,
Okay,
so.
perfect.
Yeah, so it's a net effect of, even though it is an increase, it's really a net effect
Yeah,
to
and
control costs.
I can wait for
Yeah,
that
yeah,
presentation.
yeah.
ODP, 100K reduction, based
Mm-hmm.
on what?
We're currently looking to return some out-of-district placement students to the Tiverton School District by creating an in-house program.
Okay. Perfect, thank you. And that in-house program will be staffed by current staff?
So
Or
the-
we'll be able to cover it with current staffing?
The $100,000 would be the net savings.
Okay.
So the
It's net.
tuition, of course, would return to the district, but that there would be staff costs
Okay, so
associated.
it's the net,
It's the net.
the net.
Yeah, after you
Perfect.
bring it back. Yep.
thank you. That's it for me, Diane, thank you.
Thank you, Deb. You covered a couple of my questions, so I appreciate that. Transportation. I know we spoke about this a bit at our last meeting. Did we eliminate any buses this fiscal year?
No, we did not.
We did not. And just for the benefit of everyone, there has been discussion, and I think we'll probably tackle it in more earnest fashion during a future meeting, that we may decide to implement an opt-in for busing in the future, which may allow us, in my view, to eliminate more.
Yep, we're on board with that.
Okay. I understand your ODP tuition now. The life insurance increase in FY '26. Could you explain that a little bit? Because that was,
Yes.
I know we
So-
look every month at it, but.
Yeah, so the life insurance premium rates renew every November.
Okay,
So it's obviously late, well past the budget cycle. This year, on average, historically, the last 3 to 5 years, off memory, it was usually an increase of 5, 7 at the most. This year was 14%. So I end up actually going to a new provider. You guys might remember this when we discussed it, but going to a new provider. It actually ended up working out because we were with the Hartford and stuff changed at the Hartford. I don't know if they got bought out, but they got combined with another acquisition, but we went with the Standard. The Standard offered us a better rate increase of the 14%. Hartford wanted 20-something. And it also offered a voluntary life insurance for our employees. So we had quite a few employees that volunteered and opted into the life insurance policy, me being one of them. So it protects a small amount for my family in case of a crisis. So I think that was a benefit to our employees, and we had 30 or more opt in. So it was a good, we had a presentation in the whole 9 yards. So we do have a life insurance policy currently with all our employees, active employees, that covers $50,000 per each employee. That is in each CBA contract, has been for many years. So going from the Hartford to the Standard, we're still offering active employees, and I should say, apologize, retirees that were already part of that program. So the reason for the increase does have to do with Tiverton's population of retirees and the ages. Because when I looked at Portsmouth and Middletown with the same broker out in Middletown that was handling Portsmouth and Middletown School District, I'm like, hey, why are we paying 100-something thousand and Portsmouth's paying 60,000? They got more employees than us, blah, blah, blah. And that was the reason. Our retiree population that is currently in, on our, I don't know if they call it a portfolio, whatever, record, whatever they call it in life insurance terminology, is very high.
so the next logical question,
Yep.
without having a detailed analysis in front of us, which we
Yep.
don't, are we required
We are. Yep. So I was going to get into that.
for the rest of each retiree's natural life?
Yes. So once for teachers, there's actually a state law. This is the key. The teachers, NEA members, teachers, I don't know about administrators. I know teachers, 100% in teachers. We have to, when they retire, you have to come up with a cost premium for the rest of their life. So the key is, someone that was paying $500 a year for life insurance 20 years ago is still paying $500 a year as
Wow.
long as they're alive.
Yeah.
That is how it works in the state of Rhode Island due to Rhode Island law. So with the change of the Standard, and what I changed with Attorney Ben is I said, how can we get over this hump? What is a way to save? So the way to save is now working with the Standard and that broker out of Providence brokerage firm that I work with. We can come up with a number that is realistic for the average life expectancy, not what they were paying in 2026. I don't want 2026's number to be the same as 2036. So we are doing ways that to overcome, and what that cost I'm referring to is what's being given back to the district. A certain percentage is being given back to the district. Just doesn't always cover the actual cost paid out of pocket. So there is a co-share coming back to the district, but doesn't cover the total premium cost. The second layer to that is NEA during this last contract. We also took it out of the contract for any new member. So any new employee that came in this school year and in the future would not be part of that $50,000 life insurance. They would get nothing other than their voluntary offer.
It'll be zero.
Zero.
They'll get nothing.
Yeah, so any,
Won't be a benefit.
correct. We took out that benefit because of the cost. Yep.
So
And that's only NEA though. Council 94, it's still in their contract.
I'm trying to understand how that aligns with state law.
The NEA state law? So it aligns with state law because the way the language is written, I'm going off memory, you can come up with a number. It just has to be whatever you charge them the day they retire is this, it has to be the same number they pay until the rest of their life. So you come up with a methodology, I forget the term of the methodology, but it's average life expectancy, male, female, and you come up with a number based on that, and you can't change the number. So once that person retires, June 30th, 2026, you give them a number based on the brokerage firm that comes up with that number through an actuary. It's not from us, it's an actuary, comes up with a number, and that's the same number they pay for the rest of their life. In previous life, or previous years, is they would retire paying a co-share of $1,000, and that's the same co-share they're paying for the rest of their life. So with no inflation costs added in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm at 95 years old.
Well, it doesn't make sense, but going forward, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's no inflation costs added in for when previous retirees retired from the school district.
Okay,
Yep.
well, thank you. I've had no,
Yeah, like we had an individual come in the other day, I don't know, he's been retired for 30-something years, he pays $200 a year, you know, and that's not the cost we're paying to cover him. Yeah.
no, okay.
So,
Good to know.
yeah.
Learn something every day.
yeah.
I'm just going to go through my notes here. I'm happy to hear that there might be the ability to get new funding sources for that high school support. That is important. We all agree with that. The PM supervision question raises a security concern for me. I mean, even if it's just 2 kids, right? Are the students currently allowed to have access, to the entire school while they're waiting for their practice to start or their ride to come?
Technically, yeah, because there's still students and educators in the building after hours as well. Could be detention, could be after hours help, could be a club. So we don't technically lock those doors and keep them out
Okay,
till, I don't know the exact time, but it's much later than 3 o'clock.
and I realize this isn't necessarily a budget-based question, but if you're asking us to eliminate that,
It is, yeah.
it does raise the concern of the impact.
Yeah,
And
so-
will we be less secure if we
Yeah.
don't have an adult?
So you still would have adults here as far as the principal, vice principal. They just might not be sitting in the atrium. This person solely sits in the atrium and gets paid $40 an hour to sit in the atrium.
Okay.
Yep.
And Mr. Haskins, you're comfortable with that?
I think we would be able to provide supervision for the few students who are staying after school before practices in a different manner.
Yep.
Okay,
Again, this is early discussion, but
Yep.
yeah.
absolutely. That is all I have. Anyone else? Kim?
I do. This budget, you're saying there's not going to be any new staff added to it.
Correct.
I know there's a job right now on School Spring for a special education teacher at Ranger.
Special educate, sure it's not a teacher assistant?
No.
I don't,
I'm just wondering, for instance, are you planning on how are you planning on accommodating that? Because that person's hopefully going to get hired and,
I don't, he's gonna check School Spring, but we would not be hiring a special education teacher unless I don't know of any openings.
We did not approve any additional staffing beyond our current model, so that may be a replacement position.
it's not.
I can look into it.
I know we
Yeah,
have a
it's-
teacher assistant that recently left, interventionist, I think she was, but a teacher assistant opening. I don't know of it, yeah, he'll look at I'm not sure what job posting you're referring to.
Okay, because it's for a student that's, needs that support.
Oh, that might be a temporary, teacher. I think I know what you're speaking of.
Wouldn't be temporary.
Yeah, so.
But anyway, yeah, please look into that because that's something that,
Yeah, we would not be hiring any full-time, as we don't have the room in the budget for that.
okay. Gaming revenue. Has anyone, I'm looking for the Chromebooks. And I don't know if anyone's really looked into this, but I'm just thinking, is it really necessary for elementary school students to have a one-to-one Chromebook? We used to have carts in the elementary school before, and the teachers would sign those carts out, and they had computers on them so the kids could use them. I'm just looking at that, and it's such a high amount of money to replace these computers every year.
I'll lead off, and then, just from a parent's view, I can say it's utilized during distance learning, and my daughter comes home with a Chromebook often and does Lexia, and has advanced her math, where she's come out of she was with a math specialist from pre-K to second grade. So I do think Lexia in general through a Chromebook is working personally, but I'll let the superintendent address that from a district-wide standpoint.
Sure. Over the last few years, I should say 15 or so years, some of the adaptive software programming has become more common in classrooms. Programs like Director Andrade mentioned, Lexia, 30 years of efficacy around improving literacy outcomes. That requires students to be using a Chromebook. A number of the math programs are required to be done online. So this budget represents a continuation of the educational program from FY26. If the school committee wants to consider changing the educational program, we can certainly have that discussion. But this is a continuation of current programming. A reduction in the amount of Chromebooks would necessitate a change in educational programming. That's certainly a discussion we can have.
Are the Chromebooks used when we have virtual learning?
The Chromebooks are used during virtual learning. They are not, that's not the sole purpose of the Chromebooks, but they are used
But
during
they are,
virtual.
so if they have them, we can easily, if there's a snowstorm, whatever, and if they're taking them home, we can say, okay, we're gonna pivot, and we're now gonna offer.
Yeah.
That's correct.
And I know some homework is related to a Chromebook, more at the upper levels, but yeah.
Yeah, okay,
Yep.
good question.
I just feel like it's, at elementary school, it's so much better for students to have curriculum where they're one-on-one with the teacher or a TA or,
Yeah,
I feel like there's a big piece of that growth that's lost at those lower grades. Again, and I mean, even snow days, like,
Yeah, no, I think as superintendent said, we hear your concern, but obviously we would have to look into Amplify, Lexia, Wit and Wisdom, these curriculums that have been around for quite a few years and costs, everything costs money to change and professional development, et cetera, but that could be a larger discussion.
okay. Because I'm looking at COVID, and there was a lot of things that were implemented in COVID, and COVID's gone, so I'm just trying to say, maybe we should be looking at going backwards with that, but moving on to
So before she moves on, is there any kind of thing that we want to, as a board, sort of say, we're going to go back and look at A, B, and C as far as to Superintendent Haskins' point, that would be a change in approach? Are we going to keep track of those? Are we going to vote on those? How are we going to, look at those?
I've asked Mr. Haskins to keep a list of any takeaways that come from today's
Okay,
meeting,
all right.
and that'll be included. We'll make sure
Because
that,
that's obviously a much bigger discussion, and I
It
think
certainly
something the
is.
board should vote on and,
Yes.
okay. Okay, thank you.
No, I agree.
Thank you, Diane.
And just to be clear, Mr. Haskins, he has agreed to keep this tracking, if you will, and that will be included with the minutes of the
Okay.
meeting.
the health support for Miss V's replacement. Has anyone looked into the Hazel Health program or the mobile mental health program?
Yes, we currently participate in Hazel Health at no cost to the district due to the funding through the Rhode Island Department of Education.
And is that, and the mobile mental health, that involves Newport County Mental Health? I'm just wondering, would that be a good supplement for a counselor?
I'm unaware of mobile mental health through Newport County, but we can look into that. We may be participating, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Sure, I can get you that information.
I only know of us participating in the office. I don't know about the mobile side of it, so we can get back to you.
Sure, well, I can get you that information, too. Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. Can we have a member of the audience that seems to really want to say something? And I want to give her that opportunity.
Hi, sorry, I just wanted to share that Newport County
give us
Mental.
your name, please?
Sorry, Corey Marchand,
you,
24
Corey.
Christina Drive. Newport County Mental Health does come to the high school to see students. I know that personally.
Thank you, Cory.
Thank you.
Also, I don't know, the Prevention Coalition for Tiverton and Little Compton, they address a lot of these issues.
Yeah, we had someone on site as well that was also offering no cost. However, that individual that has been serving the district for a few years recently moved out of state. So same idea. We're actively working with them to hopefully get a replacement. But as you know, those jobs are tough in this area of the state.
Because they do have a member of that, and they do have someone planning on coming in.
Yeah, we had an individual that was here, like I said, he even was assistant football coach, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he recently moved.
Just, I know that they've had problems getting in the past, so that's another thing, too, that,
Yeah, no, he's
Would
been.
benefit to get in.
I don't know how often he's on site, but I see him, when I come to the high school, here and there, I do see him again. I learned 2-3 weeks ago, he moved out of state.
He's been very active. He's on
Yeah.
our health, he was on our health and
Yeah.
wellness committee too,
Yeah.
so he's been.
that's a
here.
loss,
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
definite loss.
Yep.
Let's see, what else do I have here? You mentioned there's a nurse at the transition program. When we had toured the transition program, they said there wasn't a nurse. Is there, since then, has there been a nurse?
It's you might refer to as a personal care attendant. It's just in the contracted nursing services line item of your COA budget, but it's really a personal care attendant is the title.
Oh, okay, you said nurse, and I,
Yeah, well, contracted nurses services, that's how we go out to bid, that's our UCOA budget line item, but it's really a personal care attendant. But again, how UCOA codes it is differently, so I'm just going off financial ways rather than maybe correct terminology.
okay, all right, I'm just,
Yeah, I'm on the finance side, I don't. I'm
Right,
the
I have
special
that.
ed, so,
when you say
sorry.
nurse,
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
that's so
Yeah,
different
it's
than a
called- It gets
PCA.
billed to the contracted nurse services line, but
Okay.
in the invoice, I do know it says PCA, so, yeah.
Excuse me, Mrs. Paquette, there is a posting for a special education teacher at the Ranger School from August. That posting is no longer current. It needs to be removed from School Spring. That was filled August 27th.
Okay, because that's not the one I'm thinking of, but that's a discussion for another time. Okay, I think that's it for now. Thank you.
No problem. So just going to the next slide, really high-level staffing trends. FY '27, you can see our certified staff is 144. Again, these are all rounded FTEs, just for simplification of this slide. Projected, again, FY '27 and '26 are very similar, 144, 63 non-certified, and 13 admin. The non-certified does not, obviously, this is full-time equivalents. However, as Ms. Sherman said, we do have quite a few outside agencies that are being utilized. So these are full-time payroll. These are not vendor-related payments. So if we brought people on, the non-certified would increase, but it would most likely be a savings to the budget. So it'd be a net savings rather than an increase in full-time FTEs. Admin 13, this does include the 0.4 FTE athletic director. For a total this year and last year is 220. And FY '25 was a total FTE of 241. So the district did experience an 8% decrease in staffing from FY '25 to the projected FY '27 budget. And that's 8% in the certified area, 11% in non-certified, and 4% admin, for a total of 8%. In addition to this slide, I did provide several supplemental documents that support the full salary line items for all staff by department. These materials include total budget salary amounts, and again, I want to emphasize this. It's total budget salary amounts and related additional salary expenditures. These include ESY personnel for the special education program over the summer. These would be summer pre-K conferences that occur, pre-K salary offsets through funded entitlement grant IDA preschool through the federal government, and it gets run by RIDE.
Where would that be? Brendan, whatever you're
Do we have
referencing.
documentation?
Yeah, it's
that
in your
speaks to this?
supplemental documentation of salaries.
Is it in the back? I don't
Yep,
s-
it would be the last page, and it's
In
labeled.
this section?
Yes.
Yep,
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
yep.
Just wanna-
I just wanted to key this in
Perfect,
because
yeah.
I did provide it, and I had a school member ask, so I just wanted to explain what that sheet is.
So it's the.
So where is the sheet? So we're all looking at it, please.
I see stipends.
It's in the way back, it says pay scale summary for salary and hourly positions by department is the title page, and then right into there, it gets right into
Oh, yep,
each
okay.
employee, department, and total salary.
And
Yep.
then there's a stipend summary?
And a stipend summary after that.
Gotcha.
Yes, yes. Yep.
Getting there.
It's just before the special ed tab. The next tab
The special ed,
is before that.
I wonder
what I
if it
see is
wouldn't be,
stipends.
I wonder if it wouldn't be helpful, Brendan, before that salary section, to have another one of these.
Yeah, I would
I
agree.
think you should. Yeah, it's right here. This one?
It would be nice to have a divider.
Oh, sorry.
That says salary.
I apologize. Yes, I should have
And
mentioned that.
to
Chris.
Mrs. Polish's point, I mean, I have some of this stuff at home probably, but could you, as we continue to add to these, could you perhaps give us some additional dividers?
Yeah,
so
I'll
that
talk
we
to
can-
Chris on Monday that I'm sure she has more in stock.
All right, thank you, because as
I
much
mean,
as.
this is great. You're giving
It
us all
is.
the
Yeah,
information. It's just to enable us to go flip right to
Yeah,
the salary.
that's my fault. As you know,
But it's in here.
the day gets
To
out
your
of
point.
hand and I give
No,
Chris
we
stuff and
understand.
it's on me, so.
Yeah, no.
I'll have her add a divider.
Not a criticism.
Yeah, no.
Thank you.
Oh, criticism's good sometimes. You learn that way. So, again, I apologize. Good point of getting into the detail, but I just wanted to,
Yes.
I was gonna bring this up again in future slides at the end, but I just want to reiterate, this is a total salary, so it includes other things outside of salary, and that could be, it's all contractual obligations, such as guidance counselors have to be paid 5 days after school, 5 days before school, head guidance counselors get 10 days, so there's additional, we'll call stipends that are within the salary, not the stipends page, along with longevity, and along with vacation accrued vacation for non-certified and certified, admin, et cetera, et cetera. So again, this would be a total salary, so someone might say, I know this happened in the future, but someone might say, hey, I don't make that much money. Well, you do, that's your salary plus whatever
That's
your.
the extra.
Plus your
Additional
additional.
pieces.
Yes,
Got
yes.
it.
So that's
But
what
to
that.
your point, that's in the salary you co-align, not the
Correct, I'm
stipend
just,
you
I'm just
co-align.
detailing it,
Perfect,
yes.
okay.
And it also shows there's some highlighted open positions, and these are budgetary line items. So, for instance, we might hire a high school principal at a lower rate, higher rate, same rate. Again, I'm just budgetizing certain salaries right now for those open positions. We have quite a few. We have a clerk at Pecasset. We have a teacher assistant at Ranger. High school principals in an interim right now. Another teacher assistant at the middle school, a teacher assistant at the middle school and high school, a part-time nurse that we just discussed, and a secondary teacher, another teacher
And I
assistant.
see you have highlighted those in yellow for our
Yes.
benefit.
Yep,
Thank you.
so again, those amounts are not direct, they're just budgetary amounts that I use my expertise and come up with a number based on step to put in the budget.
Thank you.
So those could change, but.
Is anyone planning on retiring?
We have one retirement coming up in February, at the end of February. That's the only one we've been notified of. And I forget what the contracts say, but I think February is the date that is the kind of generosity to the school committee administration to notify us. But, yeah, I'm only aware of one.
Will that person be replaced, or will?
They're part of this
be-
open, because I already know they're leaving in February. They're part of this open at the middle school. It's a teacher assistant at the middle school, yeah. Yeah. Who we are sad to leave. She's been with the district for more than 20 years, so. But hopefully she enjoys retirement. I got a while to go.
Are we looking at a deficit for this year?
A deficit? No.
For this year,
As I said,
structural deficit?
I plan, my projection's a small surplus.
Great job.
So far, it's still early. We got what's the 100th day of school coming up soon, or just passed, I forget, so we got a while to go.
And also to the teachers who were put under the spending
it?
freeze, and the teachers too that were put under the spending freeze.
Yeah, so
So
again,
that's
it's
good.
not, it's
Like,
not.
everybody just kind of
Yeah.
pulled together and,
Yeah.
that's great.
It's not, yeah, again, just the spending freeze is not a concerned spending freeze. It's just a way of trying to control, and that was my authority with the superintendent to discuss that. So there is some things we're passing along, such as recently the pre-K department hasn't bought any items all year. So we are looking to buy a few items for the pre-K, waiting on a list. So I would probably pass those through because they haven't bought materials in a few years, because they've mostly been funded on the grants. But, so it's just halfway through the school year, most of the teachers already have their belongings, and including copier, ink, toner. So I'm just trying to kind of help with the end of the year, because as you know, we could have special education student come in and that blasts your budget, so.
So rather than calling it a freeze, it's really more heightened scrutiny.
Yeah, it's still, technically, I'm calling it a freeze because it's better labeled that way for teachers to, they get it, but it's just, don't try to,
We don't have a
don't
lot
try
of
to twist my arm.
discretionary room.
Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. But, the teachers have been great. Like I said, I gave them a timetable in October to say, hey, we're gonna start a freeze, just get any final expenditures in, and they've been great, they've been great and understanding. So,
And does this budget show anywhere how we plan on paying back the town council for last year's deficit?
that would be considered a separate discussion.
Okay.
It is, and it
But,
has nothing to do with
yeah.
going forward's budget.
Yeah,
We will have it on our next agenda as the town council is beginning to take that up.
Okay. Just want to
yeah.
try to get everything.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's, yeah, we can get into that next time.
Okay. Thank you.
Just making sure I didn't leave anything off that was discussed on memory off the salary sheets, but again, it just, the next biggest one, again, we discussed how contractual obligations are within that total salary, including vacation, good attendance, stipends, et cetera, et cetera. Also, within there, as you guys know, the longer members and Kim and Jocelyn have been involved with the schools for a while, but we do have additional salary offsets that are funded through entitlement grants, which is Title I and IDE Part B, and also IDA Special Education Preschool. So I just want to bring your attention to that, because within your salary sheet on the last page, you can see some of those additional costs. Additional salary expenditures and offsets, and the entitlement grant salary offset of $295,000. That does come from Title I and IDE Part B. So if something were to happen at the federal, state level, et cetera, that would be 3 positions that are being offset by those entitlement grants through the federal government. We did take a little approach where we did decrease those numbers from the current year by about 7.5%. So this year, I think we got 308, and I went down to 295. So that's been that was the historical trend we saw last year. And also with me staying up to date a little bit with the administration at the federal level is Rhode Island's at the bubble of losing 13% over the next 10 years. So 7.5% decrease should be helpful to the budget. We shouldn't see any changes.
Same thing, when is that finalized? Late June,
Yeah, I think federal government would,
September?
Yeah, and I try to go off the White House website,
Yeah.
because you obviously don't want to go to CNN, Fox, whatever.
Right.
Whatever you consider them. I try to go from the direct administration.
Okay.
I think what I'm hearing, though, speaks to the necessity for us to really try to build a fund balance.
Absolutely.
Something.
Absolutely.
Because clearly there are so many, not just the typical, a child moves into the district, blah, 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 right? But there's so many unknowns that will remain out there as we go into the next fiscal year, particularly where it concerns the federal government.
Yeah.
You know, we can do what we can to try to avoid buying too much toilet paper. But there are some things that are truly out of our control,
Yeah.
and we need to do our very best to try to have some kind of cushion so that we don't find ourselves in an emergency spending freeze, emergency layoffs that we can't do,
Yeah, yeah.
or other types of reductions,
Yep.
so.
Yeah,
just-
and obviously, as you know, Chairwoman Farnworth, we're obviously building that this year through the Medicaid reimbursements. And
Right.
again, next year, I'm only utilizing less than, requesting to utilize less than, I think the percentage is 20-30%. And
It's
we've been-
crucial.
Yeah, we've been bringing in close to, last year was 421,000. This year should be near there, when everything's all said and done. And then we do have a couple of the avenues from the EBAC sale coming in, which we might need for deficit reduction, but trying to build that fund balance the best we can back up.
Well, and I think, great point, but the key to that is just, let's be transparent. Let's talk about
Absolutely.
why we have it, what kind of things we don't know, like special ed, out of district, this 295 that comes from the federal. So if we're just really transparent on what that balance is and why we might need it,
Yeah.
then everybody's on the same page.
Yeah, to your point, you bring up a good point, is Medicaid covers services.
Right.
You get Medicaid reimbursement through services, not transportation or out-of-district placement for a child that might come
Right.
to Tiverton that needs those services.
Okay.
All right.
So, just no, if you want to continue to ask a question, I just wanted to do a time check in understanding where we are, how much more we want to cover today. I had promised the committee we would not go past noon.
Yep. I can move quickly into expenditures, Elise, and then I'm pretty much done after that.
Okay, and then also understanding that our February 10th meeting, which is our next regular meeting, will be almost wholly dedicated to this topic.
Yeah, my dear, if it's okay with you, Chair.
Sure.
Woman, I'll kind of go through the expenditure highlights, which the audience has in their packets quickly. And we can go through line items after that, given time, and then we can continue on more line items on the 10th. That's the
Okay.
idea.
Thank you.
No problem. So going right into the next slide, again, this is a high-level expenditure highlight. Shows what was adopted by UCOA, high-level line item, including, I just noticed a mistake, I apologize. That should say FY '26 adopted and then FY '27 proposed, obviously.
And Mr. Andre, just for your, because I don't know if you have the printed version of this with you.
I do, yes.
A number of these slides are not printing well. The columns are not aligning.
Yeah, I'll have to,
Suggestion for you, use the paste picture approach when you're putting
Yeah.
together slides.
yeah, I don't know why, because my printed version is showing, like you guys had those 3 cutouts earlier. and
Yours is showing lined up,
Yeah,
ours isn't.
yeah, so I don't know what happened. Sometimes it happens, so you can see it here. I go all the way to
yeah,
ODP.
okay.
Yeah.
The problem is when you send it to someone, and if, I just learned this when I was doing this presentation, if you send it to someone using Google PowerPoint, that's when it prints differently.
Yep.
So as a staff, I'll take it upon myself to make sure that we're using Microsoft PowerPoint, which aligns with what I'm using.
Okay.
That's the
I mean, we've
difference.
had this trouble for years and years.
Yeah,
It's
that
just-
was like, I had to redo this whole PowerPoint just on that Google Classroom, which is different than my computer. So that's the same idea with printing. So I spent all Friday redoing this right here in this
Yeah.
room, so it would
Oh,
show.
goodness.
Because if you don't, FY '26 adopted and FY,
It
should
gets
say
all up.
proposed would be all together.
And it's not that we don't have the numbers
And-
here, I just
yeah,
wanted to call it out.
yeah.
That
And
it's
I noticed that last year when we were in the auditorium, it was my first year presenting, I didn't realize Google PowerPoint doesn't align with Microsoft PowerPoint.
So now we know.
unfortunately. Yeah, so
Yeah,
now I
so
know.
if
but
everybody's printing
It's
off the
frustrating,
same.
yeah. Yeah, I noticed that because sometimes when I open up school committee agendas, what Chris Giannini sends, it's different on my computer.
Well, and that's
you
good to know
Yeah.
before we send packages to
Yeah.
outside of our group,
Yeah.
that we try to get everything lined
Absolutely.
up as nice for
Yeah.
them as we can.
Yeah, let's review.
Yeah, because like I said, I had this presentation done on Tuesday when it was provided to you, but then I noticed on Friday how off it was and had to redo it on that student Chromebook, so. Anyway, I
Thank
do.
you.
That looks good.
Yeah, but learning curve to make sure that the same version I'm seeing is printed for you guys. I apologize for that. That's why I didn't notice. So again, FY '26 adopted, and it should say FY '27 proposed. Just given the time, because we can go again through this on the 10th, which I hope to do, is, we're showing a change of $952,784 in column 3 under the total. And that's I don't know how to get that figure on the screen with technology, but that's 2.67%, which lines up to our balance revenue request. The biggest change are obviously compensation for contractual obligations. So again, we'll get into the full UCOA data next, but largest driver of the employee compensation, this reflects contractual salary steps, lane changes, and negotiated costs of living adjustments. This is not expansion of staff, it is maintaining our existing workforce. In addition, the next largest driver is employee benefits, which includes contributions to medical, dental, life, and pension-related obligations. Supplies does increase. Obviously, this is a small part of our budget, but the supplies has to do with the RIDE mandated 6-year programs that I spoke to that we're hoping the capital would offset within our operating budget. So that's really the driver. Without that over $100,000 line item, it would include, it would be a cut of $9,000, 380. So that's why that's the next biggest line item. So getting into it now, and this is what the community have in their packet, so I apologize, would be going through each UCOA line item.
Brendan, previous slide, what's other services? What would be an example of another service?
Other service?
Yeah, on that previous slide.
Fives, those are the transportation, tuition to private sources, out-of-district tuition, out-of-district placement, dual enrollment, employee travel, all that good stuff. So the biggest driver there, as you know.
Oh, so if you go to the UCO, it's this 55
Yep, which we'll get
XXX
to,
series
yeah.
on page.
I apologize, Kim, given the time, and as I said,
Yeah.
I went through it quick, but I'm gonna go through each one now, so, yeah, you'll see,
That's fine.
yeah.
It's like page 3, I think, on the UCOA detail.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it, thanks.
Yep.
Thank you.
So getting into personal services, I'm trying, again, I don't prefer the presentation going line by line is crucial, there's no change, but I can if you please, but I will go to the line items that do have change. Regular salaries, as you know, contractual obligations, cost of living adjustments, and changes, et cetera, and step changes being the key three. Salary substitute certified, we are hoping to do a little change of schedule at the middle school that would increase that salary substitute line item. And that just has to do with a long-term sub that we're going to do maternity. So longevity, that's a contractual obligation with the recent retirements from June 30th, 2025 and the 2 this year, that longevity line item goes down a little bit. It could decrease later given when employees start to stay on board longer experience in the district. Regular overtime, my trend I'm seeing in FY '26 is allowing me to decrease in FY '27. So that's a good thing for overtime. Tutoring, we're seeing a little additional help this year, so I did increase that by $500. Severance and detention coverage remain the same. FY, obviously, as you can see here, I apologize, I will pause. Obviously, as I did last year, we have FY '22 actuals, '23 actuals, '24 actuals, '25 unaudited actuals, and then FY '26 budget, '27 proposed schools and the change. So as you can see, it's all in line. FY '22 and FY '25 unaudited actuals for severance were a little higher due to early retirement severance contract renewals, which were savings as covered in other places. AM, PM supervision, as we discussed, the savings is higher, as I mentioned, it was 5,000, but within this budget, it's a little lower, because of, I built in some homework club money, it's really homework club, but it's under AM, PM supervision at the middle school. So, there is some extra tutoring happening at the middle school, so that's why you're not seeing the full savings of $5,000, but you're seeing savings of $3,500. RTI support team, again, this has to do with the support team for the NEA contract, but the only reason it's changing a little less is because of really the consolidation of the elementary schools. As you have more schools, you have more support team members. Sick pay off non-severance, again, this is just a budgetary line item of how you feel you will fall into the year, so I am increasing that slightly by $2,000 for FY '27. And that could be if someone retires on June 30th or after the school year, the payment might end up in the first pay of July of that fiscal year. And that's just how accounting works, unfortunately. Classroom coverage, staying the same, we're in line, we should come in slightly under the 58,000, but you're talking hundreds. So I'm staying in line with the 58,000 classroom coverages. Stipend other, this increase, obviously again, you have a supplemental document that spreads this out, but this increase is slightly due to the increase in the contractual obligation with NEA and adding another stipend that needs to be discussed, internally with the superintendent and NEA president, Ms. Deschamps. A full decision hasn't been made, but the social workers are, I don't know if we'll get into that, but if you want to read on that, the correct terminology for the social worker certification.
There's been a request for the district to recognize national board certification for social workers, similarly to the way the district recognizes national board certification for teachers and nurses.
So are you adding, that is part of your proposed budget?
Right now, it's part of proposed budget, but a final decision has not been made, so I just
Okay.
want to point that out.
All right.
So the increase has to do with that, and also the 2.5% NEA increase for the contract.
Okay, so before we go any further, let's talk about compensation. Obviously, a lot of it is contractually obligated, most of it. Yeah. What is the current approach to substitute teachers? Is it all, again, you mentioned a long-term sub to cover for maternity, which is, normal. We see that all the time. Do we employ any long-term subs or building subs that can be used on a ad hoc type of basis?
There are three ways that we cover teacher vacancies. One is that we do have building substitute teachers that are assigned to buildings. They're hired through the hiring process. We have per diem subs that are assigned through, the frontline absence management system. So that's a substitute teacher for the district will take a job for a teacher who's out. And then the third is that teachers may cover a class and receive, our current teachers may cover a class during their free period for which they receive compensation.
Okay.
If there's a long-term sub situation, for example, a maternity leave, we try to use our building substitute as much as possible. But depending on the length of the leave, that teacher may require a certain certification.
Okay, thank you.
So-
Oh, sorry, Kim, let me just.
Yep, fine.
I would like us to have a more in-depth discussion on the stipends before we leave this category. But I will you know,
you
certainly
wanna,
encourage others to ask questions not related to stipends before we go there.
So not related to the last two?
Yeah.
Yep. Very good.
So this certification, are they already certified, or do they have to become certified? This requirement by the state, or national, I'm sorry.
Excuse me, for a long-term vacancy,
You said board certified for nurses and counselors.
oh,
Are
the
they
board
already
certification.
prepared for that? Are they certified, or do they have to become certified?
They are certified now.
They
They're
are,
requesting
okay.
to be treated similar to a certified teacher and nurse. So in our current stipends, we have a national certification for nurses. They are trying to be recognized on their
Oh, okay.
national
I-
certification.
And I misspoke earlier, excuse me. This is a request not coming from the social workers. This is a request coming from speech-language pathologists.
So it's
Excuse me. So currently, certified teachers are eligible for additional pay due to National Board Teacher Certification. And I believe, according to Director Andrade, school nurse teachers also qualify for a stipend based on National Board Certification. You don't have to have National Board Certification to be a certified speech-language pathologist. However, our speech-language pathologists have made a case that the additional money and time and coursework is similar to that of certified teachers achieving National Board Certification, so that they're looking for a similar stipend. I'm doing some research on that now, surveying state superintendents and looking at contracts to see if school districts offer National Board Teacher Certification stipend, and for those that do offer National Board Certified Teacher, if they offer it also to other support professionals, including speech-language pathologists. So we're still at the research stage, but we'll be making a recommendation, maybe making a recommendation at some point related to stipends for speech-language pathologists who are nationally board certified. So the short answer to the question is you do not require national board certification to be a speech-language pathologist. It's an additional certification that can be sought similarly to teachers.
And I'll piggyback off that, is as you know, we have 5 nurses. We only have 1 receiving the stipend because of that reason.
And
And-
the
oh,
nurses
go ahead.
coming in, the nurses, does RIDE require a nurse teacher, or can they just be a nurse?
The Department of Education does require school nurse teachers to have both a nurse certification and a teacher certification.
Okay.
Due to the shortage of certified school nurse teachers, the Department of Education allows a period of time for employed school nurse teachers to achieve that teacher certification. So for example, you can hire a school nurse teacher who has an RN, but they don't have the teaching certificate, as long as they are making progress towards that certificate over a period, I believe, is 3 years.
3 years, okay. Thank you.
So at this time, this stipend that I know we'll get into that is not part of the CBA,
That's correct.
but it would be. It would need to be added to the CBA.
It would need to be an approved MOA.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any other questions on the non-stipend section? Okay, so hearing none, can we
Yep. If you
go to
wanna
the stipends?
If you
And
want to
those are
flip to the
the
stipend page, it should be
last couple of pages in
last
this
couple
section.
pages before the transportation budget proposal,
Yep.
I believe.
And a number of these are in the CBA.
Correct. All of them are, other than that one, yes.
I don't know, collective bargaining agreement for those in
Very good.
reviewing the meeting.
So, Chairwoman Farnworth, do you want me to just get started an overview of the stipends? All right. Do you want to, Jocelyn, you want to show what? We're just going to give Elaine a second to flip through. Yeah, go back 2 or 3, I think you're good. 2 or 3, Elaine, it'll stop the, you're on athletics right now, yeah, there you go. So there's different pieces of stipends, but the first piece is UCOA Object Code 51401, and we'll call these other stipends or general stipends before you get into athletics and other extracurricular activities. So the first page of the stipends, if you look up top, I list 2025, 26, 27, and then commentary notes of the difference between 26 and 27. So I apologize, I don't have this on the screen right now, but so the top section is what I was referring to in the salary section. These are stipends that are part of salaries for various reasons. They could be pensionable and all that good stuff, so we put those in the salaries line item. So this UCOA line total of in FY '27 of $44,145 for department head stipends, coordinators, and contract teachers at Pecasset and Ranger. Are all included in the CBA. Some are included in the grid that receive a 2.5 increase, and some are excluded from Article D of the CBA, which is no annual increase. And then you do have one position that is only paid if the coordinator is teaching a class. So these department heads also include not only a stipend to be a department head at the high school level, they also include $100 added to their stipend per each teacher in their program. So if the stipend's $3,000 for department head and you have 5 math teachers, you're going to get $3,500 per the CBA for having 5 math teachers in your department, only at the high school level, not the middle school. The middle school only gets the department head stipend. So that is included in the salaries. The next section, again, is 2025, 26, 27. This would be included in UCOA line 51401 stipends. So as Ms. Powell said, these are all part of CBA, if it's NEA or Council 94, and also the stipend for the building committee clerk and the school committee clerk. We also have, in this stipend, we also have Article 9 of the NEA CBA, and this just speaks to the hourly rate for attending open house for CT or 8th graders coming to 9th grade in the high school, and also putting a footnote for the national certification of speech language pathologists. I apologize, I put social workers, so you can see that cost increase of $7,500. Again, I put in the note, recommendation only, no superintendent ruling to date, status to be determined. So before I get into athletics and the other UCOA account, any questions within this stipend page?
The increases, are those are part of the contract, right? So the
Correct.
teacher's gotten the 2.5, so that's an automatic for these?
Yeah, so in their contract, they have 2 different areas. They have an Article 5D grid that gives an increase to certain stipends, and there's very little that doesn't get a increase. They're outside the grid. So anything in the grid is based on cost of living adjustment.
Okay, so even like a yearbook coordinator, they're in the,
Correct. As you can see in the comments section, anything that does getting an increase has the name. As I mentioned, Kim, sorry, just going a little off topic, but national certification of nurse, we used to have 2. We only have 1 on staff right now, so that did decrease a little bit, but still received that 2.5% increase. And I think I answered your question a
Okay.
roundabout way, but
yeah, thank you.
no problem.
Not a question, but just a comment. I appreciate so much you having the UCOA code on these so that I can go back and see where it is on
Yeah.
here. I mean, I know that's something we struggled with in the past, and I just, I know this is your lane, and
Yeah.
I just want to commend you on that because it makes it so much easier for me to review this detail versus this budget. So thank you very much, Brendan.
I appreciate that.
Just a couple things. First, on our copy of the stipends, the second section, you've got 2026 listed twice, if you could get
Yeah,
that
I do
cleaned up.
apologize.
Okay.
Should say 25, 26, 27.
Okay.
Yep.
Understanding that a lot of these, and I've asked this question in previous years, so I already know the answer to my question, but I just want to call it out again. There are a number of these stipends that are probably not actively being dispensed because the services are not being performed.
Correct.
But we maintain them in the budget because they are within our collective bargaining agreements.
Correct.
And if we do, for example, have a drama coach next year, that person will earn whatever's in here.
Yep.
So that, I just wanted to call that out.
Correct, and just to piggyback that, Diane, because I know the public doesn't have this in front of them, but as you can see in 2025, I did eliminate, essentially actuals for what was paid out those years.
Okay. And then this is going to be an objection
Okay.
that I know I can't do anything about at the moment. In my opinion, the school committee clerk does not, or the building committee clerk, does not belong in a collective bargaining agreement. Those are government-related positions that should be accounted for separately and not part of collective bargaining. That's just my opinion.
But they're in there now.
They are in there now, and we do have a 3-year contract, so that's a reminder to everyone to maybe talk about that for the next contract. And that was all I had.
And I just wanted to highlight one more. I apologize. I have a star here, so I forgot to follow my direction. But new teacher mentors, as you, that number is a variable number. That's paid out $500 for any mentoring to a new teacher. As we said, level staffing, if no one leaves and, if we have a position leave and we need to fill that position, then the mentor stipend would be paid out. So potentially we do have some savings there as well, but I just left the number, the historical number for now.
Understand. Does anyone else have any questions?
Just the columns again, Brennan, and I apologize if you said this. FY '25 is unaudited actual.
Correct, yep.
FY '26 is budget, obviously FY
Yep.
'26. So FY '25 is unaudited
Yep.
actual, okay?
Yep.
And then the other two are budget,
Yep, projections, yep.
yep.
So as Diane said, some of those FY '26 projections could probably come off. I just haven't yet,
And when we do our budget versus actual, when we're doing current year, we'll see that flux,
A
we'll see
decrease.
those savings.
Correct, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. Because for instance, drama coach, we posted since, I think, September, October, and we have quite a few kids looking, but, I just
But to
haven't.
Diane's point, they are contractually obligated,
Correct.
so we do have them until we
I
know we
kept 'em in
cannot
until-
fill it.
Yeah, yeah.
That one's been filled, I believe.
Oh,
Yeah,
it has
that's
been filled, so I
yeah.
apologize. It has been filled. So I get the stipends in May when they've been filled, so that's gonna be my point, is I keep them on until I get that final recognition from the high school office. Yep.
Just a question about Article 9, open
Yes.
house CTE in 8th grade. Is that for anyone who assists in those evenings, or is it for the coordinator?
It's for both. It's in the contract, it's written as $40 an hour for each NEA member that attends.
Gotcha,
So
okay.
it's the discretion of the principal, of who
Okay.
would attend. And
Right.
like, for instance, we had some coaches that chose to attend. They didn't
Yep.
attend as a teacher, they attended as a coach. So they wouldn't be part of that, but,
Yeah, so that number
You know.
represents like multiple people.
oh, many.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
you got your
There we
7
go. Yeah.
programs plus some,
Yep.
yeah. Yeah, because we have, as you know, for instance, engineering is multiple teachers.
Yeah.
So they could do something else too, but that would be 2 stipends for 2 teachers. So
Gotcha.
it's 7
Yep.
programs with multiple teachers.
Makes
Yep,
sense.
yep.
Thank you.
No problem.
Are we ready to move on? All right.
So next, you'll see the 3 seasons, fall, winter, and spring season coaches. Same idea as 25, 26, and I did get 27 right on this document. So again, these are part of the grid, so they would receive the 2.5% increase per the CBA contract. The fitness center coordinator, we haven't had much this year so far, but in previous, last year when the locker room was opened, we had quite a bit of activity, and there was a certain stipend with that through the Principal Craven at the time. We just haven't had much activity this year. And we had some sports teams that, again, to Diane's earlier point, is we might not have a team in many years, so they're not part of the stipend, or we might not have a team last year, but we're hoping to have a team in the future. Cheerleading being one of them. On the first page, it's the first one to come to mind. We didn't have a girls' assistant soccer coach this year, but as you remember, we did utilize those savings and did a winter indoor track, which we have quite a few kids attending, so we were able to reallocate those savings this year. And then next year, this is a new team recommendation at the middle school for soccer, boys and girls. So I did add that right now. It's as you can see in green, it's a recommendation only, a potential new sports offering, no superintendent, or obviously the next layer to that superintendent would be the school committee approval. Nothing's been done to date, but I did include that right now because we have a lot of interest. We're just trying to work with the athletic director to see if there's other non-interested sports that we can consider maybe not offering, and then we can offer that, so the net effect is zero in the end for the FY27 period. So again, with the 2.5% increase, there's also assistant coaches make 65% of the head coach's salary. That again is part of the collective bargain agreement. And again, blanks mean no coach or team that season. Any questions for any of the fall, winter, or spring?
Yeah, let's start on the left side. We've all kind of, Elaine, Jocelyn, did you want to start? Any questions? No? Okay, then you two fight it out.
Brendan, there's one head coach for football, and then there's 4 assistant coaches. And there's that many?
There is. You have an offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, special teams, and assistant coach, and that's part of the NEA contract of 4 assistant coaches. So anytime there's an assistant coach listed, if it's 1, 2, 3, 4, that is part of the contract. That there's been no change since, athletic director Murray days.
And these positions are all filled every year, these 4 assistant coaches?
The ones that are blank wouldn't be filled, but they're part of the contract, so they could be filled. They are posted to be filled. So instance, cheerleading was, we had a cheerleading team in 25, but we didn't have a coach this year, so we didn't have a team for fall and winter, because they cheer at, cheerleading is really competition, but they do attend occasionally football and basketball games, but sports-wise, it's a competition cheerleading team.
And I don't know, have you ever broken out the ones that really we aren't
Yeah, so boys.
using to keep them kind of separate?
Yeah, so boys volleyball, you can see, there's no team in many years. From my understanding, it's been 10-plus, boys volleyball. Girls volleyball is very popular, but boys volleyball, we haven't had a team. I remember when I attended school, it was very popular, so it must have changed after that point, but, yeah, so I have that blank. But again, I'm still including everything that is in the contract. Just, I am making the decision not to include a stipend for boys volleyball, given we haven't had a team in 10-plus years, and we probably don't have enough interest, even if we did have a coach.
Okay.
Based on the athletic director, not my decision, but that's obviously in communication with the principal and the athletic director.
So if we're looking at this and there's no dollar amount, that means that we didn't utilize that position.
Correct,
Okay,
correct.
that's it for me, thank you.
Yep. And if there's any others that you want us to consider with the athletic director and principal, we can do so. Maybe there's some, maybe we, I hate to call out a team, but I'm just gonna say one we don't have. Maybe you don't want a badminton team anymore, and we can visit that with the athletic director and the school principal along with us, but, yeah.
So my questions are, you just brought up one, is our athletic director or our coaches, are they asking for any stipends that aren't part of the CBA that aren't here? And I guess at this point, no, because I don't see them.
That's correct, and technically I wouldn't have the authority to pay them out, and I wouldn't if they weren't part of the CBA.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, oh, okay, so if they're not in the CBA, we can't
would
just
be-
add it.
that would be
That would
indi-
have to be a negotiated
Yeah, that would be
MOA or
individ-
something of that, okay.
That would be individual negotiation,
Okay,
yep,
perfect.
which is not correct.
Yeah, KPA. And then, so boys volleyball, to your point, it is in the CBA, but you're making the decision from a budget standpoint to not include it just because we haven't had it for 3 years. The middle school soccer's, is that now in the CPA?
That's not, so it would have to be negotiated. It's just, right now, it's being approached to the superintendent through the PTO. So and through the athletic director and superintendent, and
And is
Principal
that
Secola.
approved at the middle school?
No. Currently, the boosters are gauging interest. There is a lot of interest in middle school soccer, boys and girls. And
Okay, so there would need to be an MOA for the stipend, and then we'd need to approve the program.
that's correct.
Okay.
and the MOA to that point, yep.
Yep. Okay.
Yep.
Boys High School, let me just, same thing, you said we haven't had a cheerleading head coach, or we didn't have one this year, but we did have it in 2025, so you're making the decision not to budget for it in FY '27?
27, I am budgeting for it.
I don't see it.
Sorry, you're on the winter sports? So we had,
Oh,
sorry, fall, we had a team, and we had
Gotcha.
participation. We couldn't get a coach this year.
So no winter,
Yeah, so winter has been a few years.
but it is in the CBA. that we-
Correct,
okay,
correct.
Gotcha, but no, you're.
There's just,
Okay.
yeah,
And then the same thing under baseball assistant coach, you have 400 in 2025, and then you have nothing for 2026 and 2027?
yeah, so I added that. That one is the only one not part of the CBA. This was something done, kind of prior to me, but I was here. Is we unfortunately, through our IIL, we have a game attendant that needs to take stats, and they go on the computer and they do all this different things. So that was a stipend that paid out. It's almost like going to the basketball game, there's a small stipend paid to someone doing the shot
So
clock.
we
and
don't
score.
have to pay for it now?
So that's what I was gonna say. Through this new CBA, we negotiated that in, and we have an actual game attendant that receives a stipend for the whole season. So through the NEA, game attendant.
And where is that?
That's not here because that's being treated through athletic 6A account. So when we pay that through the people that pay to come into the games, it pays for that game day attendance.
Gotcha.
Yes. So that wouldn't be part of the general fund operating budget.
Okay.
So it's kind of a savings, if you would.
Yeah.
Just unfortunately, we didn't have anyone on board this past year, and there was a small stipend paid out.
All right, so
So we kind
those
of
are
worked that
mine.
into the new contract. Yep.
Perfect, thank you.
Yep. And some of these things I will point out is looking at the spring season, it only affects is unified basketball. We do have a coach and assistant. We also have sometimes Mr. Ross, our transition teacher, does get a small stipend for driving the minivan bus to games. So it saves in transportation, but there is a small stipend for the driver. And we do get a small grant reimbursement offset from Special Olympics of Rhode Island. So that's why that kind of decrease in 26 and 27. But the coaches get paid $700, so it's a very small fee. Yep.
Okay. Football,
Yep.
right, obviously elephant in the room.
What is it
We had
open?
very low participation this year. We had
Correct.
basically a lost season for the most part. Do these stipends include varsity, JV, and fresh?
Probably. I would have to go back in the archives, but most likely. I think JV and varsity at least, because I believe freshman's been not around for a while, for at least 5 years, maybe COVID
Okay.
or more, but they would be, if there was the assistant coach usually is a JV coach in that mix of assistants.
Are we anticipating being able to field both varsity and JV next year?
Right now, we have a large participation at this, well, 7th grade is still 2 years out, but 7th
Yeah.
and 8th grade through a flag football and passing passing league they're doing, that Mr. Gaychuk's doing. And obviously, we had a lot of seniors that graduated in 2025.
Right.
And not a lot of seniors playing football this year, other than the ones that were hurt. So we do see at least having a varsity, possibly eventually having a JV again. Yep,
Good, good.
yep.
I mean, I'm just wondering what the participation rates are in really all of the sports.
Yeah,
I've seen statements made with regard to the girls' basketball team that they only have 7 kids.
yeah, that's, I know what you mean by Facebook. However, they do have a JV team, so there's more,
They have numbers on that
there's
team?
numbers on the JV team it's a full JV team. So you technically could say they have more than
Okay.
the 7 varsity players. But, yeah. Girls soccer was low this year, yep, yep.
Okay. Now, with respect to the soccer ads, we haven't yet approved the program. However, when that comes before us, that would include the costs associated, because too many times we've been approached to add things, and we've been told no cost.
Yes, to your point, I agree. So that cost is based on other teams in the NEA contract right now, other coaches, I
Yeah,
should say.
yeah.
But however, that would need to, the MOA should come at the same time of the.
The MOA, the
yeah,
school committee approval, the
correct.
whole bit. Just
Correct.
because we're perhaps putting aside funding for it doesn't mean
It'll be approved.
that
correct.
it'll be approved,
Yep.
especially if we find ourselves in need of cuts.
Yeah, and the NEA does use a point system for their coaches. So again, they could, and their point system evolves weeks of the year and also games. So
Mm-hmm.
if middle school soccer is, say 10 games and high school soccer is 20 games, obviously that coach is going to be paid less.
Oh, there's
So-
different- yeah,
So they
there's-
would have to give us their point system, obviously, yep,
There's different lift for every
Yep.
single one of these
Yep.
sports. I agree with you wholeheartedly.
yep. Yep,
The
so-
fitness center coordinators,
yes.
you just made a comment that is it that the fitness center is not open?
It's open, we just haven't had much student participation.
Okay.
It's mostly, we're hoping it increases during the spring. It has to do with, Mr. Gaychuk is the assistant basketball coach. He tries to spend as much time he can after school with the children, but given he's also coaching basketball, so it's a little tougher. Last year, we had, 2 other individuals that left the district for other jobs.
Yep.
And they were helping more. So it's a matter of getting kids in the gym and a matter of having someone, adult available, because that would need supervision. We couldn't leave that unattended.
No, I do remember
Yeah,
those
yeah,
discussions
yeah.
when when the locker room
Correct.
was done.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to support the use
Yeah,
of that room,
and of
because that was
course-
such a big investment.
Yeah, and of course, not to use Mr. Aguirre as an example, but like, he used to be here and occasionally help out, and now he's coaching Roger Williams University baseball, so he's literally leaving after school. So again, he was another, he would try to push kids to get to the gym
Yeah.
before baseball, et cetera, so, yeah.
And, excuse me, to add to that, that locker room, gym weight room is getting quite a bit of use from our athletic teams. In terms of students using it who don't participate on those athletic teams, yes, it is getting little use in that regard, but a good amount of use from students who are participating in athletics.
And during gym class as well, too, so that's a good point, yes.
Okay.
So payable stipend-wise is what I'm referring to, yeah.
Okay.
Good point.
I didn't have any other questions on this.
Just quickly, though, just from a comprehensive standpoint, I certainly know Mr. Murray did it when he was here, but who makes do we have a discussion with the athletic director and the coaches about which of these are continuing to be viable?
Yes.
Which ones do we see coming on board? And if we make a decision that, let's say, boys volleyball, we're going to remove that, at the AD and the, whoever's recommendation, would that automatically remove it from the CBA, or would that be something we would have to negotiate with them? Like, I'm not sure how that works with the contract. Like, if the board makes the decision based upon recommendations that we're gonna remove a sport and a stipend, can we just remove that from the CBA, or does it stay until we renegotiate the next contract? Do you know? And it's okay if you don't.
Go ahead.
The stipend will remain in the contract until it's renegotiated.
Okay.
The decision about whether or not a sport continues is made in consultation with the athletic director.
Yeah.
For example, middle school boys and girls soccer is being recommended as an add-on. It will be brought to the school committee. My request to the athletic director is, which of these sports will we be recommending to eliminate? And the result of that was no recommendation to eliminate sports. But that is a season-by-season discussion with the athletic director.
Okay, perfect. Because obviously, I mean, I know cross-country was something that we started a few years ago, and it's incredibly incredibly popular. So I was just curious if you guys were having those discussions, but it sounds like you are.
Yeah, and we're fortunate enough to have a school district that many of our coaches are also teachers,
I
so
know.
they engage in that
Yeah, they're so
discussions as well.
engaged, yeah.
So we're lucky.
It does swing a little bit. High school cross-country actually did not see a great amount of participation this year, but middle school cross-country saw a great amount of participation. So we want to keep that program as the students are coming up from the middle school.
Yeah, no, okay, good. Just making sure, just from a, holistic standpoint, that those discussions are happening, and it sounds like they are. Thank you.
Do you want me to continue on?
Yes, please.
Okay.
We are nearing, right, the closure mark, so if, whatever the next subject is going to take you more than a half an hour.
I'll go quickly, big picture first, and then we can revisit line by line if that works for you.
Okay.
All right. So, getting into, just going back a slide, personal services, we forgot to do the benefits area. We kind of covered this already, so I'll go through it quickly. Benefits are increasing, again, due to health, dental, life insurance premiums that also include retirement premium costs and pension-related obligations, which are set outside the district's control. While the increase is lower than in some recent years, it remains a structural pressure. So within this budget, excuse me, I'm just going to make mine a little bigger as well. You can see the big drivers are the life insurance, which we just talked to in detail, so I won't get into that too much. Dental, we're showing an estimated increase of 4%. It's a little lower because of who's going into the plan, who's coming off the plan, et cetera. And again, we'll revisit that in May when our enrollment period opens, so it is still early for two reasons. One, getting the actual rate from the trust, and number two, the enrollment period is not open yet. And then the next driver is teacher pension. The percentage actually went down from 15% to 14.75%. However, salaries went up, so that was the driver of the pension for teachers. And teachers only, I'll get to non-certified in a second. Survivor benefits, again, same thing. This is a driver based on percentages. And then MERS is the not certified folks. Their pension did climb up. So this is a combination. You can see it's 9% driven, $12,000 change. That's a combination of wages increasing and also their pension band increasing. It was 5.51%. It's going to 5.55% in FY27. And those pensions are subject to change. It's just a variable item at this time. It's not fixed or permanent. It still could change, and it did last year at a later date. Then after that, there's I see based on staffing levels, I did take down unemployment insurance. That's based on what I see this school year with the 20 layoffs. Some of those being retirees that weren't renewed, but we did have quite a few layoffs that enrolled in unemployment insurance. And given the staffing levels, I did decrease that. Workman's comp, I used 5% still early in the year for those figures. Employee Assistant Program, that's the EAP program that through Coastline that we enrolled with the town of Tiverton on, that we started last year. So I increased that shortly by $63 for 3%. And then tuition reimbursable, non-taxable. This is in the CBA contract for reimbursement to NEA folks that continue on in education, master's, doctorate degree, graduate certificates, and any other tuition reimbursable expenses that the superintendent deems qualifies for reimbursement. So I'll pause quickly there and continue on at a very high level going forward.
Questions from anyone?
Just, can you explain the pensions a little bit?
Pensions?
Just, yeah, who's, like, so teacher/administrative pension, that's anyone that's obviously a teacher, but is that also anyone that's contractual? Like,
Yep.
they have their own contract?
So that includes anyone that's a teacher or administrator, not a retired administrator.
Right,
They do pay a little bit of the pension, but it's only 90 days, so there is some savings. However, that also includes retirees. Some retirees are on the pension until they're no longer here on Earth.
okay.
Yep.
But for instance, like the director of, like, you're on here, you would get a portion of that?
Correct. So I'm a certified business administrator, so I'm on here. Administrators are principals, superintendent, assistant superintendent, and myself. Director of technology, director of facilities do not have a certification through RIDE, so they are not part of the administration pension band. They are part of MERS.
Okay.
Yep, yep. So you need a certification. They just don't have a certification for a technology director or a facilities director, HR director if we had one. Business managers, they do, including superintendent, assistant superintendent, principal.
Okay, and survivor benefits, is that for,
That's, again, the same people I just mentioned.
okay,
It's $115 every year, and that's part of the pension. What it is, it's a retirement contribution every year. And they come up with a price. It's paid over 2 pay periods. This year was $57.50, $115 in total over 2 pay periods. And they come up with that amount, yep. So it's deducted from teachers and administrators that are part of the certified group.
okay, so, and the MERS pension is strictly Council 94?
And the non-certified, such as director of technology, director of facilities, et cetera.
Okay.
Yep.
Teacher, admin, TIAA, and non-certified, so I'm assuming it's the same thing?
Yep, so there's actually multiple, yeah, pension band has multiple. Teacher administrative pension is the 15%, as I just meant, going down to 14.75. And then we have a secondary pension, if you would, that's depending on years. Some people are 3%, 3.5%, 3.5%. And if you've been here longer than 20 years, as of 2012 when they changed it, you are automatic 7 or 9%, whatever it is.
So a certified employee would be getting 3 pensions?
A certified employee would be getting 2 pensions, the 15% if you would, and then the 3.5% if you would. However, the state does give a little kickback for the teacher admin TIA pension. That's the 3%. They kick back either between 1 and 2%, depending on years of service. So as a new administrator, I wouldn't fall in that. You have to be here for more than 10 years for the state to give you back 1 to 2%.
Okay.
So they do give back a little bit. And that's all part of that net number that I'm presenting in the budget.
All right, so I'm looking at, so the UCOA 52,203,
Yep, so that's.
and then 52,207.
So 207 is a survivor benefit. You only get that, your family gets little money if you pass away.
Okay.
The teacher or administrator don't get that. So both certified and non-certified both have 2 pensions. Because you got MERS on 52208, and then you got non-cert TIA, same idea, on 52218. So everyone's still getting 2 pension bands. So there is 2 different pensions that the employer is paying on behalf of the employee.
Okay, so the survivor benefit isn't really a pension, so
It's
that's like,
$115 a year taken out of your paycheck. It's more than a nuisance than a benefit.
okay, well, you're saying 2 certified, 2 non-certified pensions, and I'm counting 5 in the pension. That's why I'm questioning.
So again, there's two for certified, 52203 and 52213. The survivor benefit has to do with a death of a employee.
Okay.
Again, I don't know how much they get. That's a question for ERSRI. But we get, yeah, it's $115 out of each paycheck.
Okay.
So those are the two, 03 and 13. Non-certified is MERS pension that ends in 08, 52208, and non-certified TIA, 52218. So again, taking out survivor benefits, there's only four, two for each group.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's in your survivor benefits, ERSRI, that's also in addition to the 50,000 that's in your contract?
That
Life
is,
insurance.
that's a state mandated thing, nothing to do with the school department, school committee, et cetera. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't even know how much money you get if you pass away, to be honest with you. I just know,
Probably not much.
I know legally, we have to take $115 out of a paycheck and send it to them.
Okay.
What they do with that money afterwards when someone applies, I have no idea, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah, I looked it up one year, and I think you get pennies. It might be enough to make postcards at a funeral, you know, I don't know.
And the unemployment insurance, the employees that were laid off in June of 2025,
Correct.
they're no longer collecting unemployment, right? You just get 6 months on unemployment.
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
Yep. Just so you know, unemployment is also paid for people that had reduced hours as well.
Okay.
So if you have a full-time folk go to a part-time, they do get a partial unemployment payment as well.
Okay, because I'm looking at $30,000 and I'm,
It's a good question. Why is
Yeah.
it still at 30? If we're not planning to lay anybody off?
Correct. I'm keeping some money in there in case we have any non-renewals or firings.
But if we're not building non-renewals and firings into the budget, then why wouldn't it be more like FY 22, 23-ish?
What I'm trying to say is, someone could be non-renewed, but the position still stay in the budget. We just don't think that person is the right choice for the job.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
But, okay.
So the position, correct. Also, if you decide to, building substitutes also fall into this, their employee. If you decide the high school only needs one building substitute every day instead of two, and you let go of that building substitute, similar to what we did at Fort Barton, that person can file for unemployment.
Okay.
So it's a safety to budget, yeah. I think that number is too high. Historically, we've always spent more because we've always had layoffs in the last couple of years.
Right.
But, again, I could probably take that number down a little bit, but I'm being conservative at this point, given.
And it's not material, it's just, you know,
No, and we
wanted to
could,
call it
what I
out.
was gonna say is we could take that number down in May, March, whatever.
That's it, I'm gonna
Yeah.
note it for
Yeah.
potential future
Correct.
reduction.
Yeah.
Because that's when we would start the non-renewal process.
Mm-hmm.
So, and non-renewal would be, again, teachers that are new. We don't, you know, I don't think we have any plans for any, but these are teachers that are new, so we wouldn't have to have the full firing as an NEA contract. These would be one-year teachers that we would just non-renew, so,
Right, right.
yeah.
And I'm sorry, Kim, I overstepped you.
oh, no, that's fine. So the building subs, you're saying that they would be eligible for unemployment if they were laid off?
Correct.
So are they getting
I-
benefits?
They do not get benefit, they get 2 sick days, that's it, no benefits otherwise. I appeal a lot, I appealed 11 appeals this year in unemployment, I haven't been successful at one.
No, I'm just trying to make it make sense in my head that
It
a
doesn't make
building
sense to me,
sub
but
would
that's
be
what I'm saying.
considered, I mean, a substitute, I substituted
Yep.
for years.
Yep.
And I was separate, like,
Yep.
I got nothing, I got my rate, and that was it.
Yeah.
And
So-
I didn't get unemployment or any of that, that's why I'm just wondering.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I mean,
I have a
just
problem with,
still.
yeah.
No, I
so-
wasn't a building sub,
I don't want to
still.
bring up names, so I'll try to just give an overview of my thought, same thought as you, is we have an appeal process. So we get a statement from the state, the unemployment program. We get a statement, this person's applying, do you agree, not agree? You check no, you set up an appeal process, which is a phone call. You don't hear anything. You get a bill, invoice. You have to pay it, then you go online, instructions on the invoice, how to appeal. I go online, I appeal. And you pretty much don't hear anything about an answer. So you either just keep paying the bill or you don't. And if you don't, then you're gonna be penalized, interest, et cetera. The state makes the final decision, is what I'm referring to. I made 11 appeals because I disagreed with 11 decisions. Some of those are multiple invoice appeals, but,
All denied.
we're still paying the bill, so we haven't got a credit. So you pretty much hear about a credit later down the road, and we haven't received a credit. We're hoping to receive one credit because someone was paid 27 weeks, and I appealed that. But unfortunately, you have to pay the bill within 14 days, and you have 14 days to appeal, and then you wait in here. And there's no phone call. There's no number to call. Yep. Yep.
Yep, I'm all set, thank you.
I do have one more question, though, unrelated to unemployment. Health and dental,
Yes.
how confident are you?
Um,
These are very low increases as compared to what we've experienced.
So they are. I am using a 9% increase in health, which, based on data we've been receiving from the trust, we were at 12% this year, but as I said, we've had less claims, and we're showing they give you a every 6-month claim guide, if you would, and the analysis shows we should be around 9 to 10%, and we're hoping lower, because looking at other school districts, they're aiming lower than their claims, so I'm pretty confident.
So how does that translate
Yeah,
into
we've got
2.42?
I was gonna, that's my next point.
Diane and I are both like, okay,
Yeah.
but that doesn't work.
We have some change in employees that are either not taking medical, or they went on, we have a few that went on maternity leave that decided to go on their, could have went on their husband's account, so obviously, health insurance is dependent on who is applying, so that's why I said our enrollment period's in May, so that could change again, but given retirements, layoffs, terminations, maternity leave, those folks have changed their medical premiums plans, if you would, because we have individual, we have family, and then we have a buyback for no one that enrolls. So, yep. So what I do is I take the exact number of individuals enrolled times the 9% cost increase, and then you take out the cost share. It's 18% for Council 94, 20% for admin and NEA. Yep. So as I said, it does look lower than in recent years, but it's still
Not complaining.
Yeah, it's still a structural pressure. Again, that could change again
Yes.
based on, we could have someone that's worked in the district 30 years, their wife retired, and now they want an individual medical plan. And now that's increased, so it all depends.
I just lived through that myself.
Yeah.
So just quickly, I see the Medicare, FICA is just whoever is getting the increases are already past that FICA limit. So there's higher earners.
Correct, and teachers don't pay FICA.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and administrators,
Okay.
yes, correct, yes. And that's driven by position. So even though a retiree is we have 2 retiree principals, they're still considered an administrator that doesn't pay Social Security, because it's by position is the law, yeah.
Okay. One more last dumb question, but annoying me. Tuition reimbursements.
Mhm.
If I'm not mistaken, that is part of the CBA.
It is.
With NEA, at least.
Correct.
I don't think Council 94 has anything.
They do,
Or do they?
4,000, they're
4,000.
on a different line, because they're under a
So is this
professional-
increase a reflection of an increase in the CBA?
No, what that was is because 1,000 is coming from another line. Before Dr. Sanquioni left, he allowed someone to do a summer course that was a more professional development than a tuition. So we have 2 different tuition reimbursements. You have this 52917, and then there's another one on 53301. And you can see that's professional development training. I have some budgetary numbers built in. That would be for Council 94 in their CBA, a little bit for NEA. It's just basically following the UCOA guidelines of which count they go into.
Okay.
Yeah, so budgetary wise, I did build the 10,000, but it's not really an increase. It was just in a different area in FY '26 and et cetera.
Okay.
That's also a new line item in FY '26, so that's why you don't see much change in prior years. Yep,
Oh, you're right.
yep, so, yep, started in FY '25, new line item.
All right, so,
And was it
Go ahead.
the 53301, which is why we see that go down?
Correct, yep, exactly,
so unless does anyone have any additional questions with respect to employee benefits? Okay. That being said, our next section will be purchase professional and technical services, and we
Yeah.
will go from there. The question is, do we want to continue today?
I'll,
It's quarter up.
Yeah, I'll go quick. I keep saying that. I think once we're past benefits, there's not.
Don't be
I
so
know,
sure.
I know. But let me, yeah, the reductions don't change. That's what I'm referring to, but, or increases for that matter, but
So you think we can hit one more?
I think we can hit quite a few more, but we'll see what happens. If that's all right with you.
Go ahead.
All right, professional and technical services. We are seeing a reduction here as we scale back one-time health counseling services, as we just spoke about, Ms. Kelsey Vasconcelos's area, and Z-Space Technology subscription, which Dan Andrade spoke about in his technology. And we offset some other costs through grants, which is the known before grant cybersecurity services that went through you as a 2-year grant. So that does offer some services, some reductions. So pretty self-explanatory. This is a major group, given speech therapy, occupational therapy, regular therapists, audiology services, bus monitors, physical therapy evaluations, personal care attendant, contracted nurses services, data processing services, which would be our payroll company, and other tech services. So expecting no questions, but we possibly could have some. I went through that quick. And
You're
we can-
funny.
Yeah, we could go back, but I'll continue on, and we can go back on the 10th if that's all right.
I will kick things off.
All right, go for it. And then this might end us then.
Yeah, let's go page by page. and
All
then
right,
if
this might end us
we
then.
need to continue on the 10th, for other
Yeah.
pages, we will. It's just easier to go page by
It's
page.
fine, yeah. Whatever you
Yeah.
guys want to do is fine with me, so you tell me.
Bus monitors.
Yes.
How are we tracking in FY '26?
So FY '26, we are tracking with a little surplus, which I can give you in a second. So again, it's tough to predict the special education transportation in June, given that we went to out of statewide in district in July. And statewide did include bus monitors for the special ed ESY programs and out-of-district placements in July. However, I am seeing a surplus in FY '26 of $4,438. So, yeah, a little bit, but
Buzzkill.
yeah. Given the increase is a little larger contractually. However, given the surplus in FY '26 and also possible elimination of a bus, that would save on a monitor. So that's why you're seeing a 2% increase rather than the 3% increase in the contract.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Because we've had many years of
Yeah.
being well below budget
Correct.
there.
Yeah.
And so what you're telling me, though, is now that we're covering statewide
Yeah.
transportation, that number is actually coming in much closer.
Yeah, and it could be, obviously, I'm a different person budgeting, and we've had some tough budget cycles, my last year being one.
Sure.
So I forecast right on the number. I don't know how it was forecasted previously, but, again, it could be better or worse. I'm trying to, predict what the new year is going to be based off of in-district versus out-of-state.
And certainly, being conservative is not harmful,
No.
because we want to make sure we can cover our bills.
I agree. Obviously, you know my stance of trying to retain staff is my goal.
Okay.
With the knowledge of, yes, we do have a lean budget here.
Okay. And so, my next question is with respect to the web-based supplemental instructions. Is this $30,000 reduction just Z-Space?
No, so if you remember from the technology.
Yeah, I'm trying to
there was-
remember.
Yeah, so no, I don't expect you to remember, but there was some budget changes, UCOA budget changes I made.
Yeah.
Majority of it is Z-Space. Z-Space is actually saving $57,000 for the year. The difference is, basically the main drivers are Z-Space savings, and then obviously you have built-in increases, so,
Sure,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
And I know Mrs. Polish is going to have a more pointed question on that, so I'll leave it alone. You don't? I'm shocked. I'm fine.
And I just want to point out, I have not had a conversation for police SRO. We're currently working with the town administrator and Chief Costa, superintendent, is to put together a new MOU, MOA on the SRO. So I'm hoping we have a more permanent number.
You
So-
mean a MOU?
Yes, yes. That's 53,410. 410, yep, correct. So it was a little higher in FY '26, but that had to do with the Ranger sprinkler system in the beginning of the year. We had to get a fire detail. So that's why it drops to just the SRO salary in FY '27.
Okay. Anyone else have questions?
No, the health service providers decrease,
Yep.
is that because we're moving something to other lines, or are we, we've certainly at the beginning of the year, we heard lots of discussion about health service TAs, all of those kind of things. So are we moving something or are we eliminating something?
Eliminate, that has to do with that mental health counselor we
Ah,
spoke about.
okay.
And the reason for it's not showing the total $20,000 savings is because what also is in that line item is athletic trainer. So
Gotcha.
obviously I am increasing his cost because he's been $150 a game for the last 3 years, so.
So
and
that's
they've been
the-
hard to come
That's
by,
the
so.
decrease in the mental health plus the
Increase of athletic trainers at sports games.
increase athletic trainer.
Yep.
Okay.
So the individual that's been a heavy hitter for us is started, I believe, I could be wrong, I'm just going off memory from the athletic director. He's got a new job and he's a little higher up at his job, so he's hasn't came to as much games as we would like, but he's a great rate, so we might have to get someone else at a higher rate, you know.
Okay. That's all I have for, and then you answered the SRO, so
Yep.
that's all I had for that page.
Good. Anyone else?
Guess not.
All right, I'll try one more
Look at
slide.
that.
You
Wow.
want to stop or one more slide?
No, let's do
One
another
more.
one.
We got 9 minutes.
So this is a twofer. All right, let me just catch up here on my end. All right, so purchase property and other services. Purchase property is rubbish removal and a bunch of maintenance items, including ground maintenance, non-tech related maintenance, tech-related hardware, HVACs, electrical, plumbing, water bill with Stonebridge and North Tiverton Water. Our telephone services, which includes Verizon and Cox. So Cox would be our office phones, Verizon being the few cell phones we have in the district, which are for the principal, the early risers beyond the bell director, who's Christine Giannini, Dan Andrade, and Marco, the other tech and Miss, I believe Sarah might have one. Superintendent and I do not have a phone that is paid by the district, so we have very few phones right now. And then we also have the internet connectivity. That has to do with the Verizon, they used to call them MiFis, I think they call Wi-Fis now. It's given parents, guardians, the access to internet if they can't afford internet or in the low-income area. So we provide internet connection for those students. Rental of equipment and vehicles, that has to do with rental of equipment would be copiers, and vehicles is not really a good name for it, but the more rentals we use could be a boom lift, it could be a boom lift to change out lights outside in the gym, et cetera, something that's, 28 feet tall that we can't really get a ladder to. So that's the type of rentals we have, and then we could rent other items here and there as needed, If it wasn't for DPW helping us out, we would probably have to rent a backhoe or something along that nature to take care of some of the snow. So, and then alarm and fire safety services, I spoke briefly about this. This is a new line item here in Tiverton, per my direction, but I'm trying to break out alarm and fire safety services. So these would be our quarterly contracts and monthly bills we have. So the alarm is a monthly bill. This has to do with Alarm New England to alarm all our buildings, and the fire safety services are a quarterly quarterly bills such as elevator, sprinkler services and actual fire alarm communication services that are tested quarterly.
So let's,
Breaking them out of where?
I broke them out of maintenance and repairs fixtures and a little bit out of non-technical related maintenance. So a couple pieces, but as you can see,
54, 311.
311 was 40,000 FY '25, and then FY '26 and '27 go down lower because I'm breaking majority of them
And then
out.
54, 310.
yeah,
310 and
Okay.
that's it, yes.
Yep.
Thank
all
you.
right, I'll open it to questions.
I just want to say this is a decrease of.
Oh, I'm sorry. Brenda.
Yeah, no, I forgot. This is a decrease of 5,397 for people watching at home.
Yes. Any questions?
Yep.
Go ahead.
So I understand, I just want to understand, and I know we approved this budget, but I want to understand ground maintenance 62.5 versus unaudited actuals of 2040, 468. I want to understand, I understand we approved that budget, but I want to understand why we approved that.
That had to do with the outside services of the athletic grass cutting at the high school and middle school. So, given our skeleton custodial crew
Yep.
due to cuts, this was something the council and I agreed to allowing. We use the same company
That's
that
what
the
I was gonna
town
say. I
uses.
seem to remember
Instead of
Council
DPW,
94.
the town uses the same vendor for the athletic fields as well.
So that was the reason for the change, and then obviously
Correct.
that's going to stay.
Correct, yeah, it saves, it comes out to a little less than 40,000 a year, so obviously it's a lot less than a new
Because we
new
used to do
custodian.
that with maintenance crew, but then we reduced.
We
in
reduced
20
it.
From 2020 to
Yeah.
26, we reduced.
We reduced the custodial staff to a half-time outside guy,
remember
4
that.
hours, and it's very difficult to line a high school baseball field and a middle school softball field the same day, never mind cut grass and clean up trash, weeds, it's just.
Okay, I just wanted to
Yeah.
make sure, I just
Yeah.
wanted to remind
Yeah,
myself. I
so
know we approved it, but I
Our
just want-
custodial staff is still taking care of the fields, just not cutting the grass.
Same thing with the HVAC?
Yes, HVAC has to do with the council willing to take on more bigger problems that was committed to in FY '25 and FY '26, and we're hoping for the same thing in FY '27.
Okay, because I see, 23, 24 were pretty big, and then it was
Yeah.
nothing, but now we're back, okay.
Yeah, so they covered, they gave us a blanket capital of $100,000
Oh,
last year.
nice,
So that
okay.
covered majority of the work, and then I keep things in there because of recent things that have happened in the district. We can cover that within the 20,000, but if a boiler was to go, we would need a capital request.
Okay.
So, go ahead.
Nope, that's it, those were, I was just wanted to understand
I'm concerned
actuals to
about
budget.
this reduction.
For HVAC?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, it's this, again, same thing as last year, but yeah, it
We
could be a
need-
concern.
So, we've experienced, over the last few years, right, some heating system issues. We have several times before asked about the possibility of getting a maintenance contract in place so that we can perhaps even avoid some of these problems. And it hasn't been quote-unquote recommended by at least our former superintendent. I don't think 20,000's enough. I don't think we can count on the town council giving you a blanket anything in FY '27. That this needs to be put in our budget. That's my opinion. It's not nearly enough, $20,000, when you consider the scope of the needs. So I would like us to revisit that whole topic as part of our budget discussions on February 10th, if possible,
Yep.
in a little bit more detail.
Yep, I can say, when we got a quote last year, and then we removed it based on.
How much was it, about 75K?
It was 75K in total, taking away the 20, so, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because obviously a maintenance contract is maintenance, nothing for actually doing the work. Materials. et
Understood.
cetera, Yeah, yeah.
But if we had the maintenance contract are we being penny
So,
wise, pound foolish here?
Based on the current problems we had right now, a maintenance contract would not cover these maintenance items. A boiler stopping to work is just like a residential boiler stopping to work. You're gonna call your boiler company to come in.
But was there a reason why that boiler stopped working?
It stopped working because of, personally being a non-certified, I'm not a contractor, I mean,
I gotcha.
obviously a
But
plumber or
would
a
a maintenance
mechanical, but,
contract
no,
cover those
because-
types of
probably-
preventative maintenance?
No, I would consider that an in-house maintenance thing that should have been looked at that we learned. Majority of the reason, again, I know the superintendent sent the update, but the majority of the reason for the problem was a outside air vent causing cold air to come in, given the wintry temperatures. So that's a matter of opening up the box and making sure it's closing properly. I don't think we need a maintenance contract to do that per se. I could be wrong. I'm no professional, but I don't know if you want to.
Does the committee have any objections to my asking for us to
If you don't
take
mind,
a
I was
closer
going to
look
let
at this?
superintendent add to that if you had anything.
Well, my concern is the same as Brendan's, that what's it really gonna cover?
That's my problem is, my problem has more to do with, we don't have a maintenance contract currently with a vendor that is our sole source vendor for majority of our schools, given the control system environment. And where certain controls are controlled by that vendor.
But to Diane's point,
Yeah.
certainly worthy of a more robust discussion. We don't have to have it now.
Correct, yeah.
But let's talk about
Yeah.
what would it cost, what would it cover, would it have even helped?
Are
in
there any
of our- yeah.
advantages?
Yeah.
Of course, there are advantages, especially when you call for service.
Yeah.
But I just don't know personally, and I'll let the superintendent weigh in on this, is the conversations we had last year, for instance, is
Yeah, this is-
when you have 20 layoffs, it was, maintenance contract or a
No,
position.
I get it.
you
Yeah,
know
no,
what I
Oh,
mean?
that
no.
was the
And that's,
discussion.
and again, I'm not gonna I would ask you guys to make that decision, and I'm all for that, but, Director of Facilities does report to me, so I'm all for a maintenance contract, it's gonna make my life easier. On the financial side, I don't know. I just been fortunate enough where I've had my personal problems, and I came from a company that had inside quality staff, and a lot of things were done inside versus a maintenance contract, and you're talking about a major billion-dollar
You're talking
company.
about a major difference in the
Yeah,
number
correct.
of FTEs in that company as
Correct,
compared to
correct.
this one.
So, and that's what I'm referring to is, from what I've spoke to vendors, I asked them that question.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing last year at Fort Barton, I asked the vendor, hey, how could we avoid this? Is there a maintenance contract where we could avoid this? And in that discussion, that vendor that helped us out at Fort Barton was actually going through a bid proposal in Newport at the time. Newport decided not to do a maintenance contract, given their position layoffs and they were in a major deficit, I think $2 million or whatever it was, and they've been trying to get out of their hole for 5 years. So again, that's just something to think about. I don't know if Superintendent Haskins has anything to add based on his, familiarity.
I do think that a discussion of a maintenance contract is a necessary discussion to have. Our Director of Facilities has mentioned the need to have a maintenance contract. Members of our building committee, longtime members of our building committee, have for a long time recommended a maintenance contract. I can understand that due to the large cost of a maintenance contract, that why it wasn't included in the budget, but I do think it warrants a robust discussion.
And we also have to consider, and I'm sure you know this, you're a knowledgeable person, but consider what type of maintenance contract.
Yes.
Electrical, plumbing, HVAC.
And that's why
there's
I wanna
many-
talk about it,
Yeah,
'cause-
roofs and,
Because
like,
if they carve out everything, then it's.
yeah,
it
like
doesn't
right now,
do
I
anything.
have a quote on a roof inspection maintenance contract for the high school, as we discussed last year, for $8,500. So that's additional to that HVAC contract. So you can get over 100,000 in maintenance contracts, so it's where you want to go.
There's got to be a balance, I
Yeah,
understand
yeah.
that.
But we
Um,
can get into that
But it
later.
seems like this is and if I'm not mistaken, we had heating issues at Ranger 2 years ago as well.
Yeah,
And
I wasn't
so
here, I
it
don't
seems to
remember.
be a recurring theme, right? When it gets
Yeah.
cold, we're having issues.
yeah, but, again, we'll get into this later.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because
But-
this is what we're tasked to do. I mean, we
Yeah,
have to.
absolutely.
And
that's
we
why
do
I'm-
have
I'm
to
just
set
giving you my-
priorities.
Yeah, I'm giving
And
you
then
mine.
going
you.
back to Kim's point about the Chromebooks, these are
Yeah.
discussions we need to have
Yeah.
and make some decisions
Yeah.
as a board.
Absolutely, and that's why I'm just giving you my
And
knowledge and my
and
detail is,
administration, yeah.
And I think a maintenance contract's great. I personally do. Don't get me wrong.
But where am I getting it from?
Where am I getting it
So
from?
another takeaway for Mr.
Yeah.
Haskins.
And the
to
last
know.
thing I'll say is, but you could also hire someone early in the season to do the same thing a maintenance contract would cover.
Okay,
So that's something to think
that's an
about.
option as well?
Yep, absolutely. So that's what I wanted to, yeah.
Well, no, I have the heating company come to my house every year and
Me
clean the
too.
boiler.
Mine
and
gets cleaned every year because I know someone that
And
didn't
I
clean
pay
it
for
there
it.
one year and they had a fire.
Yep.
That's making me scared, and I get my pellet and boiler
There you
cleaned
go.
every year, so.
All right.
It's like, why you pump your septic, same
So,
thing.
Same.
before we leave this topic of purchase property services, does anyone else have any additional questions so we can consider at least closed for this review? No? Okay. Kip? Last chance.
No, I mean, I'm just thinking about the maintenance contracts that, I mean, there's areas where we can
Yeah, we're gonna
cut,
have to have a different discussion on that.
obviously.
Yeah. It's our job, right?
It's your
Set the
board, yeah.
priorities,
Yep.
along with the guidance of
Absolutely.
the people we pay to help guide us. So,
Because I have suggestions, so,
good.
for the 10th.
All right, so that takes us to the end of purchase property. At our February 10th meeting, we will start with other purchase services and continue our way through, and then perhaps we will start talking about next steps and any parking lot follow-up questions.
Absolutely.
And,
So I have for our book editions that we could get on February 10th, enrollment data,
Yep.
FY '26 versus FY '27. State aid, the breakout, you said you had some presentation that you did, right? Where it
Yep,
broke out the
I,
three different determinations, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep.
And then you said you have changes for the last 10 years for state aid. That's what I had for additions to this book.
Can I add something,
yes,
please? Can we get the employees' positions? Like, in previous years, Peter used to do what grade a teacher taught, or who was a TA, or who was a
Yep,
secretary.
that should be in, if you go to your page, is there?
it's in
Oh,
Is
sorry.
it? I didn't see it.
Yeah, it's on the top, it's not, I know what you mean. Well,
Salaries?
it's some departments, it doesn't say,
Oh.
yeah, for the schools, it's, yeah, sorry, Kim, based on your request, I did,
Okay.
by department or location is what you requested, so.
And
I can
that's fine. Do we need it, and do we run a risk? I don't want to ever start talking about individuals
agreed.
as part of our discussions.
Because we
We
have
can't.
it by school.
Yeah,
Yeah, which,
and a lot of people, it's all, we have contracts to abide by. And should we need to cut staff, make recommendations at certain levels?
Yep.
That would be on the administration to work with the collective bargaining unit as to who's identified. And I don't want us,
No.
we can't.
Wouldn't it be easier, though, to say, like, a teacher?
And if we don't have the funding in our budget, and we can come to a decision on this as a school committee, but it's my opinion that if we have a hole of $500,000 and we tell the administrators,
Cut positions,
cut positions, it's on them to come back with those recommendations, not us.
agree.
All right.
I mean, that's different from, for instance, Kim, if you say, I don't understand at the high school, we have 6 classes and they're not full enough. That's a different discussion. That's not about the person or the teaching.
No.
That to me is a different discussion than talking about specific people. It's really focusing on the positions, I think, which is what you're
I
trying
agree.
to say.
It is what I'm trying to say. All right. At this time, I would like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Deb? Yes, I'm sorry. Yes. All righty, we are adjourned.
Good meeting.